It wasn't just that Pablo Escobar peddled tons and tons of narcotics around the world, seemingly without fear of being caught, which made him so terrifying, or the intimidation and extreme violence he used to maintain control of his evil empire, or even that this drug lord became richer and more powerful than Colombia, the country he lived in. The scariest thing about Pablo Escobar is that so many people revered him as a hero, and still do, even though it's 20 years since he was killed. Colombia is slowly recovering from the deadly narco wars of the 80s and 90s, and Escobar's son, Juan Pablo Escobar, is slowly starting to make sense of life with the megalomaniac he called Dad. For Juan Pablo Escobar, the story of his father is the story of two men. What is your fondest memory, your warmest memory of this place?
I remember some of my birthday parties with my father and all my family together, living very happy times.
Pablo Escobar, the one-time narco king and most wanted man on the planet, was certainly a cold and calculating killer. But to his family, he was also a warm and loving man.
I was willing to give my life for him. That's how deeply I love him.
Considering the life he gave you, the life on the run, the threats to your life, the poverty eventually, is there a part of you that also hates him?
No, there's no chance I could hate my father.
Walking through the ruins of the Escobar family home is to go back to a time that is almost inconceivable for its riches and violence. Pablo Escobar was making ridiculous money, $420 million each week, by smuggling cocaine from the jungles of Colombia to the bright lights of Miami.
En Antioquia todos conocen las inversiones en el campo de la industria.
It made him God here, all-powerful and all-giving, a charismatic, modern-day Robin Hood to the country's poorest, building soccer fields, churches, even an entire suburb to house the homeless. When you were enjoying the riches of your family, did that make you feel that your father's work, his criminal work, was okay?
No, because I didn't know exactly what he does. He was telling me when I was 7 years old. He told me after he killed the minister, and when we went to Panama, he told me that he was a bandit. So a man who gives you love every day tells you he's a bandit. It's difficult to judge him.
But Escobar was a megalomaniac, pursuing political power with a private army of 3,000 assassins known as sicarios. In the 80s and early 90s, at the height of his drug running and war on anyone who dared defy him, the streets of his home city, Medellin, were bathed in blood.
Murieron 540 policías y herimos 800.
We killed 500 police officers.
Otro ministro de Justicia.
800 were injured.
La muerte de 50,000 personas.
It was war.
Que hubo en la guerra del cartel de Medellín.
Juan Jairo Velasquez, known as Popeye, was Escobar's most lethal sicario, serving 23 years in jail for personally killing 250 people. On Escobar's command, he admits to ordering the deaths of thousands more. Why are you so proud of all this blood on your hands?
Mira, no es orgullo, sino que
I'm not proud.
Para mí, Pablo Escobar
Pablo Escobar was not a boss.
Era una religión.
He was a religion.
In the name of his religion, Escobar brazenly had his political opponents assassinated. He brought down a passenger jet with 110 people on board to target one man, who wasn't even on the plane. And he funded an attack on Colombia's Justice Palace, the highest court in the land, to simply destroy evidence against him. That day, 120 people were killed, including 11 Supreme Court judges.
People remember that event as an Holocaust.
A Holocaust.
Holocaust, yeah.
Did your father ever express any regret?
And I don't think he expressed any regret at all.
About anything?
About anything. He thought he was doing the right thing.
There was nothing low-profile or low-key about Pablo Escobar. Hacienda Nápoles, his 20-square-kilometre country estate, was a tribute to excess. Here he had 3 zoos filled with exotic and often stolen animals, never-ending parties, and too many boys' toys to ever play with. But this was not just a fun retreat for his family and friends. This was the headquarters for his drug-running and terrorist campaign. What was it like as a kid to spend time there?
It was like living in Disneyland. Giraffes, elephants, everything. A lot of motorcycles, an airstrip, and a lot of things to do, and a lot of money to spend.
Today, Hacienda Nápoles is a strange theme park. The surreal has replaced the opulence created and enjoyed here by the Escobars. It's now filled in, but walking the edge of the pool, one can imagine the young Escobars swimming and playing together. And from the old foundations of the house, there's the view of the disused tennis court. And their private runway, the delivery point for drugs, cash, and even call girls. All reminders of a vast fortune, all evidence of a fallen empire. Its destruction was set when Escobar tried to legitimize his wealth and power by becoming a politician. What do you think of your father's decision to try to enter politics?
His worst decision in life, because once he ran into politics, everyone pay attention to him.
Put the focus, the spotlight
Yes,
on
of
you
course.
as a family and on him.
If he didn't do that, I think he would be alive.
With his political ambitions thwarted, Escobar returned to violence to bully the government into dropping its extradition treaty with the US. It worked. And so, as agreed, Escobar turned himself in. But in true Escobar fashion, he was jailed in a prison he built for himself, where his assassins were his prison guards, where his son and whoever else could visit whenever they wanted.
We have roulettes and a lot of games for them. It was a very modern prison.
It wasn't a prison at all.
Yeah, like a 5-star hotel.
It's called La Catedral, the cathedral, an unholy place with a bird's-eye view of Medellin. devoted to Escobar's passions, for it truly was his fiefdom.
That is thanks to corruption and also thanks to fear.
Which your father wielded both very well.
Yeah, he offered, if you want to receive my money, you can take it. If you don't, you're going to receive bullets. Choose.
Ultimately, Escobar chose a path that would lead to his own destruction. Escaping from La Catedral, but still waging war, he was quickly running out of friends, hiding spots and money. In those last days of your father's life, did your father expect to die?
Always. We talk about dying every time, every day. We knew that it was going to come sooner than later.
December 2nd, 1993, the day after his 44th birthday, an ever more isolated and desperate Pablo Escobar rang his 16-year-old son repeatedly. When did you last speak to him?
10 minutes before he died. He always told me that telephone is death, and that's why he called. So he killed himself.
By tracing his phone signal, police tracked Escobar to the building he was calling from. The final showdown was a shootout on a rooftop. A disheveled Escobar was wounded in his shoulder and leg, but one Pablo believes his father made his own final escape. And they found a third bullet?
Yeah, in his own ear, where he always told me he will put his bullet in.
So you believe that he committed suicide twice that day, by ringing you
Of course.
and by shooting himself in the head?
Of course.
Juan was told by a journalist that his father was dead. His immediate response was to make this threat.
Pero si el que lo mató lo pueda matar a todos los hijueputas, yo solo los mato los malparidos.
In that moment, did you want to kill everyone?
Yeah, in that moment, yes. The 10 first minutes, yes. And that's why 10 minutes after that, I called the press and I tell that I will never do anything to continue my father's steps. And that's the second threat, peace. And that's the only one that I've been living every day since then.
To save their lives, Juan Pablo and his family gave all they had to his father's enemies, left the country and changed their names.
We changed our identities. It was the only way. When we changed our names, the next day we were free.
For Popeye, Escobar's most trusted assassin, the narco wars are to be embraced, not shunned. And like Escobar, Popeye is a hero in Colombia's comunas. The dangerous and ramshackle communities that house the city's poor and are a haven for criminals. You have no shame in trading on the name or notoriety of Pablo Escobar. Instead of hiding in shame for what you've done, you are trading on that.
Lo que yo te decía antes. Pero yo no siento
I'm not ashamed of what I did.
vergüenza por lo de Pablo Escobar, porque nosotros no somos
I have to make a living. So I have a choice of making a living with a weapon in my hand or by keeping Pablo Escobar's memory alive.
O vivo de la historia de Pablo Escobar.
Memories are all that's left. Stately homes and vast apartments now abandoned and in disrepair.
I think I learned how to swim in this pool.
It was an extraordinary life, and one that Juan has now written about in his memoir called My Father. He now lives in Argentina and is an architect who's designed a life of peace by seeking forgiveness from the families of his father's victims. .
「」 . 。 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 」 . 。 . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . . 。 . 。 。 . 。
Victims.
He can't deny the hatred engendered by Pablo Escobar, but nor can he reject the love he feels for the man who will always be his father.
You talk about the greatest prize being anonymity. Why have you given that up?
No, I'm no longer hiding because I don't want to hide. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't do any harm to anybody. I'm not proud of his violence, but I am proud of his love for me and to my mother and sister. And everybody's right if they want to love him because he made some things that make you love him and some things that make you hate him. That's my father.
Welcome back to 60 Minutes. He was the world's most wanted drug trafficker. For decades, the ruthless Joaquim El Chapo Guzman destroyed millions of lives and reaped billions of dollars. But when he was finally captured a few weeks ago in Mexico, wearing a filthy singlet over a middle-aged paunch, El Chapo looked more like El Cheapo. While law enforcement authorities rejoiced at his arrest, it's nowhere near mission accomplished in the war against drugs. Just the opposite. Business is booming. Record amounts of narcotics are still being smuggled around the world, including Australia. And El Chapo's Sinaloa cartel continues to rule with deadly force. It was bloody and violent. Mexico's elite Marines were taking no chances when recapturing the world's biggest drug dealer, Joaquim El Chapo Guzman. But their war on drugs goes way beyond bringing down this kingpin. The border between America and Mexico is the real front line in the narcotics battle. These imposing fences, often built right through the middle of towns, appear totally impenetrable. But they're not. You just need to go underground to see why. A network of secret tunnels literally crisscross the two countries. Freeways built by El Chapo where he plied his illegal trade. What I find extraordinary is that this tunnel is 70 feet deep. That's about 23 to 24 metres. Mexico is that way. The United States is that way. Right above us is the border fence. It is amazing that such a huge tunnel like this could be built like someone like El Chapo right under the feet of authorities.
You see the electrical wire in there. This is all original.
This is just one of nearly 200 tunnels that have been detected so far by US authorities. And you can feel the air's changed.
Yeah, it gets a little bit heavier further in you go, that's for sure.
After 6 years with the San Diego Customs and Border Patrol in Southern California, Lance Lenore has seen his share of El Chapo tunnels.
This is like the Cadillac tunnels right here.
This is the top end.
Yeah.
This is the top end tunnel. Yeah. Tunnels can take up to 2 years to build and cost millions. But it's a small price compared with the billions of dollars of drugs shipped through here. I guess every time you shut another tunnel down, that's another slap to people like El Chapo.
Considering the time and effort goes into constructing these things, yeah, that's a pretty big blow. That's 2 years, of hard work down the drain. And they got to go to plan B.
El Chapo didn't need plan B when authorities thought they'd well and truly locked him away 2 years ago in Mexico's Altiplano maximum security prison. Last July, he simply got his tunnel men to engineer and dig him a daring escape. Prison cameras see El Chapo calmly walk to the shower block in the corner of the cell. 6 seconds later, he's gone. Into a ventilated tunnel already rigged with lights, he jumps on this motorbike bolted to rail tracks and disappears. When you come here and see for yourself just how far this tunnel went, you've got to admit it's pretty impressive. It started at the jail there, went all the way underneath these cornfields, right along here to this house nearly 2 kilometres away. It was an audacious escape that made headlines around the world. For Mexico's authorities, it was humiliating. This was El Chapo's second prison bust-out. He's the Houdini of the criminal world. Would you agree?
Absolutely. The Sinaloa cartel controls.
Jim Dinkins, a former director of America's Homeland Security investigations, had been tracking the drug king for over a decade. Do you have a begrudging admiration for that?
No, because you can't admire somebody with that much evil in them.
Is he evil? Is that what he is?
Well, it's hard not to be evil if you're responsible for the deaths of hundreds of people.
To understand just who El Chapo is, you need to start here in Sinaloa, his Mexican home state. This place oozes drugs and drug money. El Chapo was born into poverty, but soon became the richest and most powerful drug lord in the world. His success made him a local hero. Wow. We've just offered marijuana to the patron saint. Pretty impressive. Is he smart?
He's obviously smart in many ways. He's street smart. And he knows how to influence people. He does it by intimidation or by making them rich.
Is he charismatic?
I would say he's charismatic in the sense that he's amassed a lot of followers that are envious of his ability to rise up through the streets, poorly educated, in the mass, and making us one of the richest and most powerful men in the world.
Mexico's recent history has been marked by violent drug wars, which have killed more than 100,000 people. El Chapo's Sinaloa cartel is among the most vicious. And here in the border town Tijuana, the police drug squad has it squarely in its sights. But enforcing the law is not easy when so many in the community are on the receiving end of bribes.
Right now, in this moment, the people think the narco-traffickants, the criminals, are heroes.
The young people see the drug traffickers as heroes. Former police chief Julian Leizeloa has been called Mexico's bravest man. 8 times he's been targeted by the drug cartels, and the last time, last year, they almost won. As he sat in a car, a gunman walked up and shot him at close range.
It was 3 shots. And the last in my spinal.
In the streets of Tijuana, 6 drug cartels vie for dominance and the huge drug profits. El Chapo's cartel controls 60% of the drug market, which earns him about $3 billion a year. And a slice of those profits comes from Australia. And the reason for taking drugs to Australia is pure and utter profit.
Absolutely. In the United States, the average kilo of cocaine in the streets of the United States might get you $25,000. In Australia, you could make $250,000 off that same kilo.
And to be successful in Australia, is it reasonable to assume that El Chapo has a network of people in Australia?
Yes. There's usually a homegrown network that's already existing there for a distribution of to the street level.
El Chapo has wealth and fame and, not surprisingly, loads of confidence. Which might explain why, while still on the run, he gave an interview to Hollywood actor Sean Penn. He happily admitted he was in the narcotics business, but not the cause of their devastating impact.
Si no hubiera consumo, no hubiera venta. Y eso es muy cierto que el consumo día con día es más grande y más grande, entonces hay venta y hay venta.
El Chapo's flirtations with Hollywood proved to be part of his undoing. Mexican authorities were monitoring Sean Penn and his companion, Mexican actress Kate Del Castillo. Reasonable to suspect that he thought he was invincible?
Yes. You know, when he escaped the second time, I thought he'd keep his head down and be so grateful that he was out that we'd never hear from him again. But his ego once again and his greed just for power and for notoriety just overcome him.
Just 6 months after his daring prison escape, Mexican Marines cornered the drug lord in Los Mochis on the country's east coast. El Chapo's last moments of freedom were violent. This was a ferocious battle. When it was all over, 5 of El Chapo's men were dead inside this house. And even though El Chapo escaped through a tunnel and into the sewer system, he was finally nabbed in a stolen car trying to get out of town. What is he thinking?
At that moment, he's blaming himself for having been so arrogant to get caught again.
El Chapo is now back behind bars in the same prison he escaped from. This time, security has been overhauled. Now, hundreds of police and military guard the jail. New cameras and motion sensors have been installed in his cell, and there are even dogs trained specifically to sniff out El Chapo's scent. It's some comfort to those whose lives he's devastated, including former police chief Julian Leizeloa. So you are paralysed?
Yes.
That is a shocking price to pay. Is it worth it?
Yes.
Do you have a score to even then? Do you have to... You've got some unfinished business.
No.
It's not personal?
No, this is not personal. It works.
It's just work.
Uh-huh.
That is extraordinary. US authorities are seeking El Chapo's extradition. The hope is that he'll spend the rest of his life imprisoned in America. That may take months. For now, night has fallen on El Chapo's free run in Sinaloa. But as he stands alone in his cell, no one doubts for a minute that he's already planning his next escape. If you were in charge of keeping El Chapo in a prison in Mexico, how would you be feeling?
I'd be getting him extradited as fast as possible.
You'd get him out of there.
Yes. Right now, if he's not already trying to bribe somebody, trying to intimidate somebody, and that would be the part that would worry me the most, is the intimidation of people working at the prison and their family members.
Even from inside his cell, he'd be working it.
Yeah, he has a whole corporation of criminals outside those doors that were already planning for if he ever got arrested, what would we do? So he's had time to think of that. And I would want him out of my jail and out of my prison and out of my country as fast as possible.
Colombia. This is a journey into the dark heart of Colombia. This quite tranquil river leads to very, very dangerous country, the place where most of the world's cocaine is grown. Here, deep in the equatorial jungle, are to be found hundreds and hundreds of tiny coca farms. How are you? Nice to meet you. For thousands of peasant farmers like Jairo Rodriguez, coca is their lifeblood. It's a passport to a better life. It's on their hidden mountainside plots that they grow this small, innocuous-looking plant. Why do you grow this stuff?
The other crops, plantain, yuca, maize, rice, don't give me anything. I don't have any other alternative. At least my family and I can live off this.
It's coca from here that eventually finds its way to Australia. These top leaves are too young. They're not ready for picking. These older, darker green ones are. And it's quite legal to chew the stuff here in Colombia. The locals have done it for eons. The effect is nothing more than a weak cup of coffee. But down the track, it's a very different story. It's Western demand, of course, that fuels Colombia's drug trade. Half a world away in Australia, and another record haul of cocaine. Last year, $100 million worth of the illicit powder was seized by customs agents and police.
It's not only the enemy of Colombia. It's the enemy of Australia, it's the enemy of Asia, it's the enemy of Europe, it's the enemy of the United States.
2 years ago, there was a changing of the guard in Colombia. The new and incorruptible president, Andres Pastrana, boldly promised the world he would end Colombia's civil unrest and stem the flow of drugs. So far, he has failed.
Colombia now is confronting violence, murder, massacres, because all of these, or most of them, are financed by narcotics.
To my mind, it seems an impossible task to wipe them out.
If we don't have the help of the world, it's impossible. We are confronting, fighting the number one business and the number one criminal organization of the world.
The cost of this drug war has been staggering, and it's turned Colombia into possibly the most dangerous place on earth. It all starts here, The process that transforms this relatively benign leaf into addictive cocaine begins in the coca farmer's own makeshift laboratory. The slashed and crushed leaf is mixed with everyday chemicals, including cement, a diesel-petrol mix, and battery acid. The process produces a paste which is then sold to the traffickers for further refining. Paste? How much a kilo for paste?
I get about $900 American for each kilogram of paste.
The chap that I met was grossing just on $5,500 US a year. It's about 10,000 Australian dollars.
A year.
Now, a year.
That's right.
Gross. Now, that's not a bad income in this part of the world. I don't believe you can match it.
Yes, you could match it, for example, with palm oil. Palm oil could give you double of that a year for a peasant.
But it's not the peasants who control the trade. It's the traffickers, and palm oil is not going to make them billions. Cocaine has made the drug kingpins rich, ruthless, and very, very ingenious. This part of this story you're going to find very, very difficult to believe. Here, we're 900 kilometres from the coast and 2,500 metres above sea level. A roadside Texaco station. So what? But let me take you behind. It's a ramshackle factory of sorts, but recently built. And inside, a submarine. I mean, do you believe me? A submarine. A rail line exists immediately adjacent, and apparently the plan was to take the sub by train to the coast. Then it was to be used to smuggle cocaine to the US and beyond.
We know that we have problems, but at the same time, I think that 99% of this country is honest people, hardworking people, and we know that we could go and have a different country in a few years.
But few people share the president's confidence. While it's true that notorious drug barons like Pablo Escabar have been captured or killed, the business is still flourishing. And what's worse, much worse, a ruthless army of Marxist revolutionaries has turned to the drug trade to finance their war against the government. FARC, the Colombian Armed Revolutionary Front, is the last communist guerrilla group left in the world. Nowadays they're drug-funded, they're vicious, and they're tearing Colombia apart, as this local news footage shows. These killers draw their main income from drugs, but they also dabble in extortion, or what Commandant Simon Trinidad, a banker formerly with Chase Manhattan, quaintly calls a tax.
The government taxes big business to fight us. So we also tax big business, which includes drug traffickers, to support our revolutionary war.
And if they don't, you'll shoot them.
No, of course not. We don't shoot them. We retain them until they pay.
By retention, do you really mean kidnapping?
If you want to call it that, yes. Sí.
Hola, flaquito. Aquí de nuevo saludándote y expresando.
Sé que Dios no dejaría que una persona como tú.
La chiqui te pregunta mucho. Dice que
FARC has made Colombia the kidnap capital of the world. Here, families of hostages send out messages on a radio show in the forlorn hope that their loved ones may be allowed to listen to them. Why were your parents singled out for kidnapping?
I don't know. My father lives off his salary and they're just a couple of grandparents.
How much ransom are they asking for?
800 million pesos, which is about 400,000 American dollars. And we don't have that kind of money.
You realize how much suffering you're causing? Are you proud of that?
Absolutamente no.
Absolutely not. We are not proud of it. But it is a reality in Colombia.
Commandant Trinidad's troops look harmless enough, but these brothers and sisters of the revolution are well-trained and well-armed killers. Kidnapping and cocaine have turned them into a formidable army, a force strong enough to win this extraordinary concession from President Pastrana last year. A grant of land the size of Switzerland to lure them into peace talks. They took the land, but kept on fighting. Their paramilitary opponents on the right look similar, but if anything, they're even more ruthless. They style themselves self-defense units for Colombia's rich and landed. And that they might have been once. But now they too are simply murdering, extorting, drug trafficking thugs, and they're guilty of the most heinous crimes. These men are behaving like animals. I mean, playing football with the severed heads of their victims.
The remedy is worse than the illness. Many people think that promoting these private armies, these vigilantes, will solve the problems, and at the end that's going to be more difficult.
When the paramilitaries took me to a secret training camp, they generously laid on a small arms show. But when it came to chatter rather than clatter, they were, well, economical with the truth.
We never kidnap, we never extort, we never blackmail, and we never attack the civilian population indiscriminately.
Yes, but is it not sometimes necessary for you to use strong-arm methods?
Given that we are an armed group, it is inevitable that we kill people and that some of us are killed as well.
As the drug and turf wars rage, Colombians live in a state of constant fear. Those rich enough buy protection, like the latest in bulletproof clothing.
We have leather jackets, jean jackets,
and
t-shirt.
A t-shirt.
It's only 1 kilo. No
Can you
more.
show me how they work?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oídos.
Now that was a real .38 bullet being fired into the jacket, albeit with a double layer of protection. Now here it is again in slow motion. How do you feel? For the poor peasants who have been caught in the crossfire of this dirty war, there is no such protection. Constantly terrorized by both left and right-wing bandits, millions have fled the countryside only to live in wretched poverty on the outskirts of Bogota, the capital, and the other big cities. Almost everyone has their own tragic story.
The rebels came to my small town and killed my wife. They put a gun to her head and shot her.
Why did they kill your wife?
I ask myself the same question. We're humble farmers that live off the land, nothing more. And if one group comes to our farm and asks for food, the other group immediately thinks we're siding with them and they take revenge.
Colombians are sick and tired of living in fear, but there's no end to their suffering in sight. It is the West's voracious appetite for cocaine that fuels the drug war. But given that we do so little to stem the demand, President Pastrana needs all the help he can get if he's to stem the supply.
We want a country with freedom and liberty and without drugs, with social justice, with development. Why don't we work together, unite our efforts, unite our money, and try to get rid of this common enemy that is narco trafficking?
It's a truly amazing sight, frightening too. Field after field, thousands upon thousands of acres, a veritable sea of opium poppies. This is Afghanistan, which now produces more than 3/4 of the world's heroin. And it's all so brazen, right under the noses of 11,000 American troops. They argue their war is a war on terror, not drugs. So, this season's crop is on its way to the West, to kids in countries like Australia. And as Richard Carlton found, no one in Afghanistan will stop it. And why would they, when opium provides half of this battered country's income?
Most passengers on my flight to Kabul were returning emigres and refugees. But I was coming to see the green fields below, fields full of poppies. Almost every Australian knows or knows of someone who's suffered heroin addiction. It's likely that the raw material for what that addict injected came from right here. What's astonishing is that it's so open. It's illegal, of course, but apparently everybody's into it. There's no embarrassment, no shame, but then if you were dirt poor, would you be doing the same? To call it brazen is to understate the case. On one side, 20 acres of irrigated wheat. The other side of the irrigation channel, 100 acres of irrigated opium poppy. 3 or 4 kilometres over there, Kandahar, the second city of Afghanistan, and you see where those trucks are running over there? That's the main highway to Quetta in Pakistan. In some countries you'd hang for possessing an ounce of this stuff, but in a country occupied by 20,000 foreign troops, it's being collected by the bucketful a few kilometres from the front gate of the second largest American base in the country. What other words besides bizarre and farcical would describe the circumstance that exists just 1 or 2 kilometres from where we are now?
Yeah, it's. I'm speechless about what I see in Afghanistan.
Hashmatullah Moshli is an Afghan-born Australian, now back home working for Al Jazeera, the Arab TV news channel. He's based here in Kandahar, the spiritual homeland of the Taliban, that regime that persecuted women, harboured bin Laden, and very successfully suppressed opium production.
The Taliban meant business. They meant business.
Then comes the American invasion, the Taliban get thrown out, and production skyrockets again.
2004, almost 100% of all provinces in Afghanistan, they have cultivated poppy.
So it's growing all over Afghanistan?
All over Afghanistan.
These poppies are not unlike you might grow at home. I mean, towards the end of the season, the petals wilt and what's left behind is a seed pod. You take a mature seed pod and inside, the poppy seed. But opium's in a different matter. You use a tool like this with half a dozen little needle points on the end, and in the evening, put a scratch in the pod. It bleeds that milk immediately, and then they leave it overnight to congeal and come back in the morning with this tool and scrape it off. It could not be more simple. Raw opium. What happens next is largely hidden from view, but we persuaded one grower to show us the next stage on the route from poppy farm to the arm of the addict. Behind mud walls, this man is preparing a small shipment he says he'll smuggle to Iran.
I take it to another dealer, and he'll turn it into powder, into heroin.
4 kilos go inside the spare tyre, and another 4 in a wheat bag. 3/4 of the world's opium is grown here in Afghanistan and distributed this way.
Have you ever seen a heroin addict?
Yes, I have seen, and I felt very sad for them.
This producer-cum-smuggler has a family of 10 to care for. He'll make $2,000 from this year's crop, enough, he says, to feed them for a year. What the vermin, the traffickers down the line, make is anybody's guess. Some of the traders here in Kabul's money market are quite wealthy men. This is a very, very busy place because much of the economic activity of this country is carried out in cash, and that's because much of it is illegal. And that's because half the national income of this country, 50% of it, comes from growing opium and selling heroin.
Wheat sells for 20 cents per kilogram, and opium poppy sells for 250 to 350 US dollars per kilogram. So what would you grow if you were in their position?
The opium trade has the 11,000 American forces here in a terrible bind. Tonight these troops are to set up some VCPs, vehicle checkpoints. They're to look for weapons, but their orders are, if they chance upon opium, they're simply to confiscate it. David Sedney is the Deputy American Ambassador in Afghanistan. I just couldn't believe my eyes down in Kandahar with the convoys of American soldiers going down the highway. Poppies on both sides. I mean, they could stop, hop out, pull them out and solve half the problem.
Well, I can understand your sense of irony about it, but our troops are here for one reason, which is to defeat the terrorists, to defeat the Taliban and the Al-Qaeda. If they were to jump out and start pulling up the poppy, the farmers would just replant it, and they would probably replant even more.
The Afghans are doing what the Americans don't. These men are from Afghanistan's Counter-Narcotics Directorate. Their job is to eliminate the poppy crop. But as you're about to see, eliminate in this part of the world has a very special, even a unique meaning. Their orders are to destroy crops by ploughing them in. Well, some of them at least. The tractors here are flattening part of an enormous crop, and it looks mightily impressive. But in reality, after ploughing in just a fraction of each farmer's field, they were on their way.
This and this, 10 hectares.
10 hectares?
Yeah.
How many hectares will you destroy?
5 hectares.
5?
Yes.
And you will leave him 5 for his family?
Yes, yes.
This bizarre approach to law enforcement may well be because the provincial governors and even national politicians are in on the opium action. It's top-level corruption that even the foreign minister, Dr. Abdullah, can't ignore. So 34 provinces in Afghanistan, each one has a governor. How many of those governors are involved in poppy production themselves?
I wouldn't be categoric in denying the fact. It is possible that authorities, government authorities, are involved. It is a very profitable business, but it has to be dealt with.
If opium production was stamped out, what semblance of an economy there is here would simply evaporate. As things stand, Kabul is now functioning in a sort of a way. There are many more children in school. Some construction is going on. Mobile phones allow the trappings of status. But outside the capital, the writ of the warlord still runs, just as it did in the days of the Taliban. If I say the probability of this country falling back into anarchy is 50-50, what probability would you agree to?
The probability is much less than 50, but
significant probability then.
But I think it means my answer. It means that we don't have a time to rest.
Afghans have been fighting a war of one sort or another continuously since 1980. They've fought the Russians, they've fought amongst themselves, and for the moment they're fighting with the Americans. But the current crop of Afghan soldiers seems well short of battle ready. The fact is that without American troops on the ground here, Afghanistan would revert to chaos and the Taliban would be back in moments. The soldiers on the vehicle checkpoints are keenly aware of the danger they face.
Yes, it is. It's very dangerous.
Because the next little village on this highway up there has still got elements of Taliban in it, hasn't it?
Yes, this whole stretch right here east of Kandahar City does.
A hidden weapon would lead to arrest, interrogation, and maybe information. That could lead to Osama bin Laden. That's why this is being done.
Don't make this hard for me. I don't want to do it. All right.
It's degrading for everyone, and some soldiers try to make light of it.
You don't know where he's at, bin Laden. Osama. Tall guy. He don't know. You don't know nothing. Just want to find him so I can go home.
Almost 2.5 years since the invasion, sir. How much longer before an American can come here, stand tall, and say, mission accomplished?
The mission here in Afghanistan is not one where there's an end date, it's an end state. But overall, Afghanistan is succeeding. We're investing in success here, not just the United States, but the rest of the international community.
America's capacity for optimism apparently knows no bounds. Yet the inevitable consequence of their present policies is more disaster. And if you doubt that conclusion, then look into the eyes of the next addict you see on the streets of Australia. His or her next hit may well be in the back of this Toyota now.
Here are the facts. It's more potent, more addictive, more dangerous than heroin, and it's easier to get. It's called ice, speed, crystal meth. But whatever the name they give it, this is quite possibly the most destructive drug yet. All the more frightening because it's considered fun, a party drug, aimed squarely at the young. In fact, now more Australians are hooked on ice than heroin. And this means real trouble. Not only does ice give a fast and powerful high, it can make quite ordinary kids psychotic. You can see the results in just about any hospital, any night of the week.
Anthony, breathe for us, mate. Breathe, Anthony.
This 16-year-old boy is a regular methamphetamine user. He's collapsed from a possible cardiac arrest. But quickly he displays other symptoms of this drug: paranoia and aggression.
It's all right. Hang on. Hang on, mate. Right down. Help me, man. Help me. No, sit down. Come on. Right, hey, listen.
How often would you have it?
Every day.
Every day?
Yeah, every day.
Get you.
Would you describe yourself as an addict?
Yeah. But back then I didn't realise.
What did you think of yourself back then?
I just thought I was having fun.
Today, Melissa looks like the girl next door, attending college, learning how to serve. Not so long ago, it was a very different story. Her speed addiction was so bad, she was prostituting herself for her daily fix.
I'd sleep with a lot of different guys to get drugs. Yeah.
Is that part of what the drug was doing to you, or was it because you were an addict?
Part of the addict. Like, it went against everything that I believed and my morals, but I'd do anything to get drugs, and it didn't worry me what I had to do to get them. And if I had to sleep with different men to get them, then I'd do that.
It was nothing I'd ever experienced in my life. It was such a high that, I'm pretty sure I didn't sleep for a couple of days when I had my first taste of ice, yes.
You'd had all these other drugs, but methamphetamine was the most potent drug?
Oh, without a doubt. Crystal meth's a highly potent stimulant and a really powerful and addictive drug.
Go up! Go up!
36-year-old Darren Martin is the coach of the under-16 Gaimea Gorillas.
Nicholas, you come off. Jem, you go back to 5'8".
At their age, Darren was one of the best players in Australia, a member of the New South Wales under-16 rugby league team. Then, drugs and eventually methamphetamines took hold. I don't imagine you held down a job at all.
Of course not. Well, when you're addicted to drugs as heavily as what I was, it can be a full-time job in a sense.
Taking drugs was your job?
Well, that's virtually it. You don't get Christmas Day off, and you don't get your Sundays off either. It's a full-time 7-day a week once you've developed a strong habit for drugs.
After cannabis, methamphetamine, or speed, is now the illegal drug of choice. Twice as many Australians are addicted to speed than heroin. You can buy it in the form of pills, paste, or the most potent form of the drug known as ice. Ironically, this stuff is known as a party drug because it can give users a high that lasts for hours, if not days. But it's also known as the devil's drug because it can turn seemingly normal people into psychopaths. The driver of this tank was out of his mind on speed when he caused this carnage in San Diego. He was eventually shot dead by police.
And he just looked right at us and he knew that he was trying to kill us.
The speed plague is international. In Thailand, a young boy is held captive by a man delirious on the stuff. In Australia, Bradley Murdoch, who murdered Peter Falconio by shooting him in the head, was also a heavy speed user.
We've had punching, injuries, assault, fractures, a range of sort of issues across the board.
So it's dangerous for everybody.
Absolutely.
Dr. David Green runs the Accident and Emergency Department of the Gold Coast Hospital. It's right at the epicentre of Australia's methamphetamine problem. In this hospital, security guards stand shoulder to shoulder with the doctors and nurses.
Just a little bit more. No.
The problem is getting so bad, every major hospital around the country now has its own secured isolation room.
This window over here, the original form got pushed the entire frame out of the wall. We've had people go through the ceiling.
Wait, what? What do you mean go through the ceiling?
Leap up, pull the panels up, and that whole door frame has been replaced where someone's lifted the door, the frame, and everything else out of the wall.
Oh my God, look at the size of it! It's only little. Oh, you idiot, stick that in me!
Methamphetamines have a stronger link to psychosis than any other drug, and it's caught Australia's health system off guard, according to psychiatrist Dr. Bill Kingswell.
You see enormous numbers of people admitted to mental health units with the complications of these drugs, and that's a small number compared to the number that present to emergency departments with the complications of these drugs. That is a picture of a very swollen brain that's just extended out to the, clearly there isn't enough room in her skull for that.
These brain scans show the permanent damage methamphetamine can cause. The blood vessels in this young man have constricted, cutting off blood supply.
He's killed part of his brain, cells in his brain have died, so that's something that he's not going to recover from.
Another young user paid the ultimate price. The drug caused a fatal brain hemorrhage.
The idea that these are safe drugs is, couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah, well, there's the physical proof.
That's right.
When I look back now, like at the time when I was smashing things and yelling at people, I couldn't see it back then, but when I look back now, I am quite surprised that I was that violent.
I'm not a violent man by nature, and I never have been, and when I developed a heavy psychosis there, I quite easily could have injured people.
How
readily.
Could you have done that?
Well, because I thought that everybody was following me and I was under surveillance, and people were out to get me. So it led me to carry knives in my pocket for protection.
Did you ever pull that knife?
I'll be honest, I never pulled it out on any to injure anyone, but I did on a couple of occasions use it as if you'd like to say, a scare tactic.
To threaten people?
Yeah.
The search warrant that we've applied for allows us to be on site all night.
Detective Inspector Paul Willingham runs the Chemical Operations Unit for the New South Wales Drug Squad. It's their job to bust the speed labs that have sprung up across the state, from backyard chemists to large-scale organised crime.
Each drug lab is different. It may be using a method known to us. Every cook has a different style. They use different techniques. Unfortunately, they cut corners.
Trying to police the speed plague is a nightmare. The labs can be set up and dismantled in hours, and police have to get their timing just right if they are to catch them in the act.
You're under arrest for the manufacture of a prohibited drug.
And it's not just the raid that's risky. It's also the dirty, toxic minefield of the lab.
Some of the chemicals on their own that are the ingredients burn through your skin. They damage your eyes. They destroy your lung tissue. It causes contamination on properties. It causes explosions. It causes fires.
There's a reaction taking place down in the back, so...
In the house?
Yes, in the house.
As extreme and dangerous as these raids look, they're not rare. Last year across Australia, police busted 398 drug labs. That's more than one a day. But it's the health impact of the drug that's just as devastating. These mugshots from an American county jail show what methamphetamines can do over time. It's an addiction that scars both physically and mentally.
There was one occasion where I'd wrote a suicide letter and left it, and I was going to jump off the harbour bridge, and when I got to the harbour bridge there was a wire fence that went about 6 feet in the eye and curled all the way back, so luckily, because I probably would have done it, because I thought everyone was following, was out to get me.
I guess it's a miracle that I'm not dead, but at the time I probably wouldn't have cared if I did die. There was just something in me that just wanted to self-destruct and just, I don't know, I just hated myself and I hated the world. That's the space that I was in when I was using drugs.
In her psychotic state, Melissa thought she was a champion surfer, but was so paranoid she would only paddle out at night. She lost her mind completely in the heart of Gold Coast suburbia, pitching a tent by the Burleigh Canal.
And how long were you here for?
Well, I was here for 2 weeks, but I thought I was only here for half an hour.
2 weeks?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is.
Were you eating?
No, I wasn't eating.
Well, how were you living?
I don't know. I was just using drugs and that was about it. That's all I was doing, and playing the one-string guitar that was glue tacked on.
If you had the opportunity to speak with young people, have you got anything that you would say that could be quite persuasive?
Just don't go there. It's just not worth it. You only get one brain and it doesn't repair itself.
I believe that teaching them about the real dangers and consequences of what can happen, I believe that's the only way. There's no other way but to say no.
Speed does indeed kill. It's maiming young Australians every day, and it's a drug the country is struggling to come to terms with. Just like the people who use it, it's a problem sliding out of control.
It ruins your life. Like, it makes you into someone that you're not. You get addicted to it, you want it every day, you do things that are against what you believe, you lose your family, people around you are devastated, and it leads only to 3 places, which is death, institutions and jails.
As a reporter, you think you have a fair idea of what's going on around the traps. As the father of young children, you hope you'll be wise enough to keep them safe from serious harm. But sometimes you have your doubts. You meet someone like Blair Richards. As a teenager, she was so beautiful, had so much promise. Then she tried the drug Ice. And, well, you'll see the results in a moment. Like a frightening number of young people, Blair thought it was cool, a new kind of party drug. But Ice is no joke. It's more dangerous and more available than heroin. It's everywhere, and it's killing our kids.
She was 17, a fresh, young face, straight off the fashion pages, when her boyfriend suggested she try a new drug. Now, as a self-confessed ice addict, Blair Richards wishes to God she hadn't listened.
I get itches and it sweats when I think about it. When I'm not on it, I start itching and sweating, getting hot flushes and
Just when you think about the drug.
diarrhea when I think about it. Oh, it's totally crazy, I know. Yeah, but I'm very addicted to it.
This is the awful reality of addiction to ice, a super pure, super potent form of amphetamine, or speed. A drug that can keep the user awake for days and strip them of all inhibitions. It tortures the frazzled brain as it wears off. This addict is going crazy in a Sydney park, convinced his skin is crawling with spiders. He'll scratch for hours. The manic, psychotic, obsessive behaviour of a chronic user. More frightening is that this mind-destroying drug is fast seducing mainstream Australia.
It's everywhere around here. It's probably easier to get than marijuana, if anything.
Blair lives in one of the ice hotspots of Australia, Sydney's northern beaches.
Probably about 5 people that I could call and get it off. Get it dropped off.
You could pick up the phone right now, could you, and phone 5 different people, get some dropped off this afternoon?
Yep, if I had the money for it, yep.
Blair has been addicted for more than a year.
You're a mother, you do anything.
And you see a child in pain, and I see that in her eyes. I've seen that pain and the fear and the frustration that comes, and it's like, I don't know, I feel it too. I feel her pain.
At first, Blair was able to keep her habit a secret from her mother Sue, who was also her boss in the family cleaning business.
Do these.
Until one day, Sue was told her daughter was using ice.
I just didn't know what to do, like, that freaked me out, yeah.
Really, there's only one path she can go down, isn't there?
1 or perhaps 3, death, jail, or a mental institution.
Why did you try ice the first time?
Because everyone else was doing it. Yeah, and I just was sort of like, oh, that was good, can I have some more? And then that's how it started, and then you just, for all of a sudden, I just found myself on it every day, wanting more. Just, yeah.
So literally, you got addicted from the first time?
Well, yeah, basically.
As Blair deteriorated, Sue became desperate with worry. She was her mum and her boss, and she faced an impossible choice.
I was in a bit of a conundrum, basically, to keep her on or not.
You're almost subsidising her habit.
Well, that's the thoughts that were going through my mind, and I thought, God, am I enabling this to do this? And I just couldn't keep giving her the money to buy the drug, and knowing every single cent of it was going on in that area, you know.
What did you decide?
I fired her.
Your own daughter?
Yeah.
Here's a frightening statistic for you. Ice has now taken over from heroin, well and truly, as the hard drug of choice. It's thought that the number of addicted is now over 70,000 Australians. Now, an addict is usually someone defined as using at least twice a week. Here in King's Cross, we were introduced to a couple who are hopelessly hooked on the stuff. Sam and Mick agreed to give our producer an insight into the precarious existence of daily users.
$90.
$90.
That's big for $90.
In their one-room flat in the heart of the Cross, it was pension day. They were hanging out for their Centrelink payment so they could go shopping for more ice.
Will there be any trouble scoring?
No, I won't be any trouble scoring.
No, I just waited for a phone call, so...
We've already rang the guy up and told him what we want.
The Centrelink payment arrives like clockwork every fortnight, and the minute it does, they're off to the ATM. But first, Mick has to report to King's Cross Police Station, a condition of his bail on a charge of supplying drugs. While he's doing that, Sam empties their account.
How you doing?
When Mick's finished with the police, he takes the cash. The one thing they wouldn't let us film is where they buy the ice.
Mick's going to go to school, make the guy go to school now, and Mick going home to wait.
In the Cross, buying drugs is about as easy as buying a loaf of bread.
Get on?
Yeah.
I've got to inject this in my groin because I've got no veins left in my arms and that, so I go on my groin. After I have mine, then I do Mick because he can't do himself because he had surgery on his hand. Ready?
So what's the difference between now and 5 minutes ago?
My heart's racing a bit. I feel more energetic. It wasn't that good quality, but it was better than nothing. Had worse.
Just a street away from Sam and Mick's attic is St Vincent's Hospital, where ice madness is on display day and night. This place treats more ice addicts than any trauma centre in Australia. A lot of them end up in the emergency psychiatric unit run by Dr. Peter McGeorge.
I think it's catastrophic. It's an epidemic on a scale that we haven't seen for years and years, perhaps ever.
In an emergency room like this, what sort of things have you seen?
Well, we're operating at the psychiatric end of the spectrum. So we're seeing people that are coming in various states of anxiety. The people that we're seeing here, they range from the homeless through to the middle classes and right through to the very wealthy. So nobody's unaffected by this drug. It's so cheap. It's so much in fashion. It's so available.
When's the last time you took ice?
When's the last time? Oh, well, I'll be honest with you. I had some on Friday night. Last Friday night.
Last Friday? Only a couple of days ago?
Yeah.
So you're still feeling the effects now?
Yeah, it's still in my system, but it's calmed down a lot. I've had sleep.
So you're high to a certain extent as we're speaking?
Well, yeah.
Straight after we spoke to Blair, she was fast asleep again.
See, this is the problem now, because once they've had ice, they go so high, and then now she crashes. And she's so physically exhausted that she just has to go back to sleep. And that can last now for 3 or 4 days like this.
But the ice epidemic isn't just destroying the lives of users, it's killing them too. Townsville in North Queensland. 3 months ago, a group of Year 12 girls from one of the city's top private colleges decided they'd throw a party in this beachfront home. It was the end of term and their parents knew nothing about it.
They were very clever, the girls involved, about confusing the issue. Everybody thought that they were someplace else.
One of those girls was 16-year-old Melanie Boyd, who died here that night. Laurie Boyd is her father.
By the time Melanie had a drink or had whatever else she'd had, she wouldn't have been in any position to make a proper judgment.
At some time, early in the morning, someone brought out some ice and suggested they take it. Melanie decided she'd give it a try.
Her judgment would have been impaired. She would have been under peer pressure. She would have wanted to have fitted in to what was happening at the time.
What was the official cause of death?
There's a long term for it, but essentially she drowned in her own vomit. It's an ugly way to die, and my daughter didn't deserve that. No child deserves that. I can remember the last time I walked out the door with Melanie. I was rousing on her, as usual, because she was late. And I never would have imagined that the next time I'd walk in, I'd be carrying her in a box. To see her in that dress, in a coffin, was so... Words can't, it's beyond the range of language. I cannot explain the feelings that I had. The waste is something that I'll never be able to get over.
Laurie Boyd is a lawyer, and lawyers, of course, have to defend drug dealers. But after this tragedy, Laurie believes trading in illegal drugs is indefensible.
The persons responsible for Melanie's death are the people who manufactured the ice and who sold it to these children. They sold it to kids. It disgusts me that people see this as a commercial enterprise, that people are making money out of it.
What sort of penalty would you like to see these people face?
I think that there should be mandatory sentencing for the manufacture of drugs such as ice, and that they get 10 years. First up. And I don't care if their daddy left when they were 3 and their mummy doesn't love them, or Father Clancey touched them up after choir practice. What they did is unforgivable. It's inexcusable. And they should go to jail for a long time.
You know it can kill you.
Yep.
Even the thought of dying doesn't stop you?
Doesn't stop the cravings going away. It doesn't. Sorry.
You're desperate to get off this, aren't you?
So bad. I don't want to be using it. I really wish that I didn't take it that first time.
What would you say to other young people who are thinking about trying ice?
Don't. I just say don't.
There is some good news though. Blair is now in rehab, trying hard to kick the habit and straighten out her life.
Lynette Satterledge is not a bad person, just someone who made a very stupid, tragic mistake. Her foolish decision cost a life, and she's paying for it dearly. Off her head on drugs, Lynette got behind the wheel of a car and ploughed into a cyclist, a family man whose life couldn't have been more different to hers. The scary thing is, terrible accidents like this are more and more common. Nearly half of all road fatalities now involve drugs. And while we all know if you drink and drive you're a bloody idiot, it seems the message on drugs just isn't getting through. Consider this next time you venture onto the roads. 1 in 50 drivers out there are on drugs. That's thousands and thousands of them. And they're quite literally out of control. These people can barely scratch themselves.
1001.
I think we'll call it a day, I think.
Their minds and bodies are out of control. Yet when police picked them up, they were in control of cars, driving alongside the rest of us on our roads.
Just walk back onto the line for me, so line.
But it's not alcohol that's affected them, it's drugs. Cannabis, methamphetamines and sedatives.
In my view, a person that's affected by drugs and driving a car is like a person that's standing in a room full of people with a loaded gun just waiting for it to go off. And it'll happen just like that.
And this is the horrible result. Maitland, New South Wales, a drug driver crashes and kills his 18-year-old female passenger. 7 people from 3 families die in country Victoria. The driver of one of the cars was high on dope. And the case of Lynette Satterledge. She took drugs, got behind the wheel and killed a 52-year-old cyclist. He had a wife and 2 kids. How would you describe your behaviour?
Very, very, very irresponsible.
You were an idiot?
Huge idiot. And, you know, I'll never forget that.
It lives with you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You had one of these before? Drug test?
No.
They're pretty easy.
The reality is that even if you choose to lead a drug-free life, choose not to have any connection with those who use drugs, you can't avoid them. Because now on our roads, police say 1 in 50 drivers is drug affected. Drug driving has now become as big a problem as drink driving, which can only mean one thing. Our roads are becoming a more and more dangerous place to be.
Just run your tongue down those 2 tabs for me.
You don't get joy out of catching people. What this whole process is about is changing people's behaviour.
But the message isn't getting through. Inspector Martin Borman says it's now time we understood the road carnage caused by drugs.
Roll them down the entirety of your tongue, starting from the back down to the front. Okay.
Nobody expects to get in their car and go for a drive down the shops or trip down to the beach and be maimed or killed on their way.
And certainly David Ronalden didn't. But out bike riding, he was killed. One of his friends seriously injured when Lynette Satterledge smashed into them, high on drugs.
This was huge. It was like, God, what have I done? Why did this happen to me? God.
Lynette Satterledge is a decent person, but she made a terrible decision. And now she's a convicted drug driver who's spent 2 years of her life in prison.
I never thought there was anything wrong with taking drugs on an odd occasion, but since realised that, yeah, you know, you don't have to be addicted or be taking them every day or for them to have a huge, huge impact.
Lynette's story begins on a Saturday night in January 2001. She and a friend were at a rave, a dance party in Melbourne. She took an ecstasy pill and danced through the night. At about 8 in the morning, before leaving, Lynette smoked some marijuana. Then Lynette got behind the wheel of her car and started the hour-long journey home. But you're feeling good?
Yeah, I was feeling fine.
And you're feeling capable of driving a car?
Well, I thought so, yeah.
You never thought to yourself, this is wrong to do? You just thought, I can do this?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Just a few kilometres down the road, David Ronaldon and 2 of his mates were out riding along Melbourne's picturesque Port Phillip Bay.
Cycling was really his life. He'd always been a cyclist. He rode to work, he rode everywhere.
Wife Pam and daughter Trudy will always remember David loving his Sunday morning bike rides.
He was just trying to, you know, stay fit, stay healthy, and he got, I guess, punished for it. We got punished for it because someone was going home at that time of the morning that he'd gotten up.
That someone was Lynette. She was halfway into her drive home, but now feeling drowsy. And when you felt that tiredness come upon you, you never thought to stop?
It's too late by then, I think. That was the problem. By the time it sort of sunk into my head that maybe I couldn't get home, yeah, the next thing I knew, the car was rolling over, crashing into things, and it had already happened.
You literally fell asleep at the wheel?
Yeah. The car veered across the opposite lane of traffic. There was a group of cyclists and my car hit 3 of them. We got out of the car through our windows and then a man came over from behind us and said, "Who was the driver?" And I said it was me, and he said, "Do you realise there's a cyclist in the bushes and he doesn't have a pulse?"
I was listening to the radio and I heard there'd been a cycling accident, and it was around the time I thought he should be home, and the police came and I knew. I said to them, "I know." So,
once the police arrived?
I'd always known Dad as my dad and the protector, and, you know, I was a child basically, and I've missed out on getting to know him as an adult and him getting to know me as an adult. And I think that's something I'll never get over.
How did you feel knowing that Lynette was on drugs?
If people want to take drugs and do it in their own home and whatever, that's their choice. But to me, you know, once they get in the car and go out on the road, it's, you know, there's so many people out there whose lives they can change.
Monday is an 5, Monday is a 6.
Years ago, we wouldn't see too much of this sort of drug-affected behaviour.
What's scary is that police are seeing more and more drug drivers like this all the time.
Adam, you'll like that. Look at me.
Men and women who can hardly stay awake, yet get behind the wheel of a car.
You right, mate?
The thing that upsets me about this is I choose not to do drugs. I choose not to have drugs in my life. But he comes into my life when he gets behind the wheel of a car.
That's right. The risks are huge.
Can I go and not a go?
Nah, mate, that was fine. Don't worry about it. That'll be great.
One of the more appalling examples of drug driving took place here. Last year on this Victorian country road, a 38-year-old driver, high on marijuana, sailed right through this intersection. Coming the other way, a middle-aged couple. The driver was so stoned he didn't even realise he had to give way. The result was catastrophic. 7 people were instantly wiped out, incinerated in the explosive impact. Kevin Millard's parents, Kath and Graham, were in the oncoming car. They were off to see their only child compete in a sports event.
I just really wish that the other driver had decided that he didn't want to do drugs that day.
Kevin, a quiet 23-year-old country lad, is devastated, but deals with the loss of his parents with great dignity.
Don't get me wrong, I'm angry and I'm annoyed and all of the rest, all those other things. I could rant and rave on here, but it doesn't achieve anything. The whole point of the matter is Mum and Dad were basically killed by a drug driver, and if I rant and rave on, it just makes me look silly.
You can see here that it's a dead straight road. He would have been cruising along this road, almost hypnotised by it.
Forensic physician Dr. Maurice O'Dell had the dreadful task of picking through the pieces of the Donald disaster. And is that a typical illustration of what cannabis can do to a driver?
Well, yes, I think it is. It was a situation where this man had a very high level of cannabis in his blood. He must have been using the drug virtually at the time of driving or just before.
Sadly, this is all too common. According to police, 40% of drivers killed have some form of drug in their system, many with a cocktail of drugs in their blood.
People will take just about anything. You know, I once had a case where the police picked up a fellow who had an intravenous drip in his arm and was giving himself an anaesthetic while he was driving along. It's the most bizarre case I ever had, I think.
Straight down, that's it.
But now police have had enough and are fighting back. In several states, randomly testing drivers for drugs.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So the next time you're pulled over by the booze bus, be prepared for extra testing.
So
let's see how one of these works. All it takes is a swipe of the tongue. So this part goes on my tongue?
Yep.
Okay.
Just wipe it down. That's it. Beautiful.
Just the once?
Just the once, and you see they were pink before, now they've gone yellow. That tells us that we've got a sample.
Saliva is tested for cannabis and methamphetamines, and within 5 minutes, the results are there.
Well, you're negative, Liz. I'm pleased to say.
I knew that all along.
Let's get you turn the motor car off for us. Okay, at the moment you're going to be placed under arrest for the purpose of obtaining a second oral solution.
Every day, drug drivers are being caught.
Yep, just up here and follow the senior sergeant.
This is another potential disaster avoided.
I look at driving as a privilege. I look at cars as weapons.
After 2 years in jail, Lynette Satulich is now trying to make up for lost time with her 15-year-old son, Jacob. But try as she might, she'll never be able to make up for her foolish decision to take drugs and drive.
I hope that people hear this and learn from my mistake. Don't go out and do it yourself, I assure you. It's
It's not worth it.
How do you feel, Trudy, knowing Lynette says that she's deeply sorry?
I'm sure that she is, and it does make me feel better, I guess, but...
Sorry just doesn't wipe it away.
It doesn't wipe it away, no, and nothing will.
They seem like very, I don't know what the word is, really nice people.
I think they're quite compassionate, in spite of everything.
Yeah, they do. And I thank them for that.
How's this for putting the high into higher education? There's a university in San Francisco devoted entirely to the study of cannabis. How to grow it, how to prepare it, how to sell it, and of course, how to avoid being locked up for it. Nowadays, California's marijuana laws are so relaxed, the state is even toying with the idea of making the stuff completely legal. In Australia, we've gone the other way. The busts are getting bigger, but so is the bottom line. Maybe it's time we took a leaf out of California's book and loosened up a bit. What harm could it do? Well, plenty of people reckon an awful lot. Up among the lush hinterland of the New South Wales far north coast, it all looks pristine.
There's a tree. Right. Another tree.
But hidden beneath the canopy, cannabis crops worth tens of millions of dollars.
This is all the big drug money stuff. Yep. This is where a lot of money's being made.
It's not long before State Drug Squad Commander Nick Bingham and his men find what they're looking for.
It's a pretty healthy looking crop, that one. See how bushy they are? They're just dripping with buds.
From dripping to dropping in, ripping up, and hauling out. Dope. High as a kite, but not as growers and would-be smokers would like.
Oh my word.
With all the drugs that grab the headlines today, like ice, cocaine, ecstasy, you'd think that this stuff would be pretty passé. Well, you couldn't be more wrong. Because in the long-running war on drugs, Australian police insist that it's old-fashioned marijuana that is still the front line.
The green weed, cannabis, is the most prolifically used drug in the country. It outstrips all the other drugs combined. And we hope if we disrupt it enough, people will stop. Well, they'll never stop using it. We're hoping some people will stop using it.
So despite all this effort, all this public expense, even these cops concede the global war on drugs can never really be won. Which is why, half a world away, there's an amazing momentum to throw up the white flag.
We were supposed to have completely eradicated drug use from the earth by last year, and yet cannabis is the largest cash crop in California. We failed. So why keep doing what you've been doing when you know it's not working?
Berkeley, California.
Next page now.
Marijuana is bought, sold, and consumed here as casually as coffee in a cafe.
I'd like to see Mr. Nice.
Mr. Nice?
And the All-Star.
This dispensary is selling what's called medicinal marijuana. Any adult with an appropriate medical certificate can walk through these doors and score.
Looking for indicas.
You're looking for indicas, medicating for pain probably?
A lot of pain.
Okay, sleep and that type of thing?
Cold and sleep, yes.
Okay.
All with the blessing of Californian law.
So we have edibles, we have beverages, we have whole plant medicine, extracts.
Okay, so you can literally choose your poison.
Except that it's not poison, because it can't kill you. Nice try though.
Basically a pharmacy, albeit unlike any you've seen before.
What's the maximum that I can buy?
2 ounces.
2 ounces a day?
Yeah, a day.
How much is 2 ounces? Can you show me?
2 ounces would be like, here's 2 prepackaged ounces.
So that is 2 ounces?
Correct.
And legally, I can buy that amount every single day?
Well, so as long as you can prove you need it, you can possess as much as you need.
So usually I take one hit and then I'll take another one.
It's hard to know how many here have a genuine medical need.
Just like having a cigarette.
Certificates are very easy to get.
You feeling better already?
Oh yeah. Can't you tell? Yeah.
But soon you may not need an excuse. Almost half of Californians now believe any adult should be able to walk in, light up and hang out in a place like this.
Down the road, we could see lounges, we could see opportunities for convenience stores or full-service sit-down restaurants where instead of a drink, you order some hash.
It was in this city 40 years ago that the hippie movement led the way in the illegal use of marijuana. It's fitting then that local campaigners here have managed to collect 700,000 signatures to force a statewide vote to allow the drug to be sold alongside beer and cigarettes. You see, those freewheeling pot smokers have become today's establishment, and the resistance to legalising cannabis is fast going up in smoke.
Now, if we're able to actually put it in the hands of regulators, we're taking the money away from the black market and we're putting it in the hands of the cities and counties so that they can use this money for education. They can use it for law enforcement.
How much money are we talking about?
Current estimates per year in the state of California is approximated around $1.4 to $1.8 billion. Tax revenue.
Billion.
Billion.
You'll have a right to go to trial within 60 days thereafter.
That juicy tax carrot has helped make this proposal politically palatable, especially in a state that's broke and with a justice system that just can't cope.
Number 18, Javier Peralta.
9 a.m. at the Orange County Courthouse, and it's the start of another busy day.
You also have a misdemeanor that ends in 258.
It's an all too familiar scene for retired Judge Jim Gray.
It just seems to be an amazing chain of people through here.
It's never ending. The chain of people coming through these courts is never ending.
Judge Gray spent much of his career in courtrooms like this, enforcing US drug laws. By the end of it, this Republican voting conservative had reached a very unconservative conclusion.
There is no question in my mind that if we were to tax and control and regulate cannabis, that we would reduce the number of people in prison. What we're doing is crazy.
This is the day that you were formally advised of the charges.
Victory in the war on drugs today is increasingly simply defined as slowing down the pace of defeat. Everybody realizes what we're doing isn't working.
Let me get this right. Have you ever tried dope?
I never have tried any form of illegal drug, including marijuana. I'm just not interested.
Do you think then that it's a harmful drug?
Yes, but far and away today, the most harmful thing about marijuana is jail.
But while America moves towards looser drug laws, here in Australia, we're headed the other way. Western Australia is set to introduce the country's toughest cannabis laws. With good reason, according to Premier Colin Barnett.
And more studies are coming out showing the mental health consequences, schizophrenia, depression, hallucinations.
If California says yes, can you ever see a day where it would be legal in any state of Australia?
I certainly hope not. And I think it's incumbent upon a government to give a very clear message to young people that cannabis is dangerous, don't go near it, don't use it.
When you were smoking every day, would you have ever considered coming for a walk here along the river?
No.
Jade Bowler has the same advice, and she's qualified to give it.
It got to the point where I didn't really care much for my life.
It's hard to imagine when you meet her, but this bright Perth teenager has recently emerged from a dependence on cannabis that nearly killed her.
I didn't care about anything. I didn't care what would happen to me. I didn't care where I would end up. Just as long as I was happy for the moment, I was okay. In the end, I thought about ending my life on a lot of occasions.
Jade smoked her first joint when she was just 12, the start of a rapid slide into the grip of addiction.
It became so addictive that I was unable to function without it. So I would wake up in the morning and I would feel really anxious, really jittery. I wouldn't be able to do normal everyday things.
You had to have a smoke the minute you woke up.
Yes. Okay, I can go.
Jade's now 19 and has her life back on track thanks to 3 years of live-in rehab.
That's all right, I'll get that.
But she could never support legalising a drug that she says led to such a spiral of self-destruction.
I thought I had control over it, but then I tried to give up, and then I realised that maybe I didn't have as much control as I thought I did.
That's the acid test, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you won't hear about the growing evidence of marijuana's harms here.
You've got to be qualified before we can actually put the cannabis plant in your hands.
This is Oaksterdam University in California. It's a cannabis campus, where, as Executive Chancellor, Dale Clare teaches students how to ingest, invest, and of course, how to grow the green weed.
If I could have all this in my lounge room and grow it as an indoor plant, what's next?
How many beers are in your fridge? How many bottles of whiskey or bourbon do you keep for guests before they come over?
But where do I go from here?
What we're talking about
would you
here?
advocate heroin? Is that the next step after I'm allowed to have one of these?
What we're talking about right now is that if your child gets caught with this plant, this little plant right here, this is what it's all about, that we would rather put your child in prison than in school.
Okay, there's 6 in here. There's 7 in that one over there, and they're all 8-man tanks. There's 5 or 6 in this next tank over here.
In Hudspeth County, southern Texas, they don't pay much mind to fancy Californian notions about legalization. On the US border with Mexico, Sheriff Arvin West considers himself a frontline commander in America's war on drugs.
Tanks filled with nothing but marijuana runners.
No dope running, your jail would be almost empty.
Right.
Sheriff West's cells are chock-a-block with career drug runners.
When you get out and you go back to Mexico, will you ever do it again?
Depends.
Seriously?
Yeah.
You can't just say no?
And this is what he's prepared to go back to. Mexico's drug cartels are ruthless when it comes to securing and controlling smuggling routes into the US.
It is a war. It's a never-ending battle. They're always coming across.
At stake, 1.5 million kilos in cannabis sneaked across this border every year.
These deputies with the guns, do we really need that here?
There's people watching us as we speak.
What, now?
Right now.
Okay, well maybe I should stand on this side.
You're the bigger target, so go ahead and stand over here.
For now, the war goes on.
There's 2 little sites there.
It's actually 4, I think. There's 2 there. There's another one just further up, and I think there's one on the other side of that as well.
Oh, okay. These are very nice. These are processed with butane.
But where California leads, the world so often follows. And cannabis campaigners are quietly confident. After all, many of the lawmakers who'll decide were once law breakers themselves.
The only difference between the President of the United States and the guy sitting in prison right now is that one of them got caught.
Everyone knows it. Even police admit they're fighting a losing battle against the illegal drug industry. But the war just got even harder. Right now in Australia, you can get the potent effects of ecstasy, cocaine or cannabis straight over the counter and completely legally, thanks to the booming industry in synthetic drugs. By mimicking their illicit counterparts with clever chemistry, the drug makers can stay one step ahead of the law. And while our police and politicians play catch-up, the men behind these crafty alternatives have become a new breed of drug lord. Untouchable, unstoppable, and very, very rich.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
This is the war on drugs as we know it. Fought on city streets and in suburban homes all over the country.
Keep moving. Give me some more cops this way. Keep going.
A daily battle against $1 billion industry that's been raging for decades and with no end in sight.
1 minute left.
All right, ready to go when you're ready, Chloe. Yeah, we'll head off now.
How many properties have you struck so far?
This is our 81st warrant today, and out of that we've had about a 96-97% strike rate.
Police search warrant! Police search warrant!
But if we're losing this war, there's an even bigger battle looming. One that's proving impossible to fight. Welcome to the lucrative new world of synthetic drugs, just as potent and the only way to get a legal high.
I've got to say, it's a bit like going into a pharmacy in a strange way. And the array that's available is extraordinary.
It's very similar to a pharmacy or a liquor store where you have all the different mood-enhancing products available.
You're comfortable about the money that you've made from the industry?
Yeah, I actually am comfortable. I've been working really hard for 10 years and attracted a lot of flack, and I have done the right thing.
And this is what a 21st century drug lord looks like. New Zealander Matt Bowden has made a fortune creating synthetic versions of illegal drugs sold around the world, including in Australia. Enough for this wannabe rock star to celebrate his 40th birthday in flamboyant style with a $130,000 party.
It's a very happy birthday, I can tell you. This is the coolest day of my life so far.
Bowden is a one-time methamphetamine addict who started producing synthetic party pills 10 years ago after his cousin died of an ecstasy overdose. He says he just wants to make safer drugs.
We thought, okay, let's try to find an alternative to methamphetamine which is non-addictive, which is not likely to cause death and overdose, which is not likely to be neurotoxic, and supply that as an alternative.
How did you feel, Christy, as the wife of a man who went from making music to making synthetic drugs?
I'm really, really proud of my husband. Yeah, I think that he should probably be up for a knighthood one day for the work that he's done with drug policy.
Christy Bowden is a former stripper and penthouse pet who helped her husband set up his first party pill business.
I've used drugs in my past quite a lot. I think that a lot of people are in the same boat, and I think it's a real shame that society actually criminalises those people and puts such a stigma on them and says, oh, you're a drug taker, you're bad. It's like, no, I'm actually just human. You know?
Where do you begin when you decide that synthetic drugs is the way to go? How do you start that operation?
We put a team together with a neuropharmacologist and a psychologist and a biochemist and technical team.
Together, the Bowdens created party pills designed to replicate ecstasy and found an instant market.
Over 8.5 years in New Zealand, 26 million pills were consumed by 400,000 consumers. That's 20% of the adult population.
This will make people hallucinate or have an out-of-body experience. Or
buying drugs has never been this easy.
And that's one that really needs a hot, hot flame, some sort of water filtration device, and that will...
Not called a bong.
Perhaps. That will... We refer to them as vases in this shop.
Sorry.
These synthetics mimic the effects of cannabis, ecstasy and cocaine. But because they're made from completely different chemical compounds, they're legal.
These? What do we do with these? You can tell I don't use them.
Tell it to the judge.
It's very complex and it's difficult to police. It's almost impossible to police, really.
Nick Bingham, chief of the New South Wales Drug Squad, is already dealing with this explosion of synthetic substances.
We have enough legal drugs on the market. We have tobacco, we have alcohol, we have your benzodiazepines. Why do we want to open up an avenue of all these other synthetic substances to make them legal as well?
Good work, good work, good work. It's just gone. Police search warrant!
Massive police resources are already dedicated to the war on traditional drugs. Today, Mick Rochester and his team will net nearly $2 million worth of cannabis plants.
As a police officer, though, do you feel like the war is being lost?
We would like to think that we are starting to win the war on it and make a dent in the industry, but at this stage we haven't come up with a week where we haven't had a number of warrants to execute.
Is it frustrating?
Certainly it's frustrating, but at the end of the day that's what we're here for.
Police search warrant! Police search!
For decades, cannabis has been the drug of choice for hundreds of thousands of Australians. And going on the proceeds of this raid, it's clear demand is still very high. For police, identifying cannabis is not a problem. If it looks like marijuana and it smells like marijuana, chances are it is marijuana. But when it comes to synthetic cannabis, well, that's a whole new ballgame. To identify it, you need to be a chemist. And even then, you'd be struggling. And there's the problem. Australian lawmakers have already tried to ban synthetic drugs, but have been outwitted by clever chemists who only need to change one molecule to produce an entirely different legal substance.
How many times can you tweak it?
Oh, there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of different molecules which could be used to produce the same sort of effect as cannabis.
That's outrageous. That's huge.
It is, yeah.
Matt Bowden has his own chemist on staff. He doesn't want to be identified, but he's prepared to show how entire new drugs can be created to get around the law. Take this compound called JWH018, which had previously been found in many drugs banned in Europe. A simple change to the chemical structure turns it to JWH073, an entirely different drug, but just as potent.
Once a synthetic form of cannabis is banned, how long does it take for another to replace it?
Well, usually there's another one in stock ready to go.
Bowden has pioneered an entire industry that is testing the boundaries of our drug laws. In Australia, the market is booming.
Well, this is called Thai High. What would be in that?
It will be made up with some herbal product like Damiana or something like that, and then sprayed with one of the substances to create Thai High Hawaiian haze. And I note that it's got quite a sweet smell.
Fiona Patton from the Adult Industries Eros Foundation represents the retailers of many of these synthetic substances.
The sales being restricted to places like this where you cannot get in if you are under 18.
Having said that, it's flying off the shelf.
Cannot get enough of it.
The question is, in the future, what else will we find on these shelves?
That's right. Are they going to ban this Thai High so another one is released, or are they going to maybe take a new approach and say, right, let's restrict it to these sorts of places, ensure that we actually know what's in it and we can give people health information? Or are we going to continue down this path of this becoming illegal and finding its way into a drug dealer's bag round the corner?
And then something else taking its place.
Something else taking its place.
Can I show you some products that we purchased? I mean, how do you know if that's legal?
Yeah, look, the short answer is you don't know and we don't know.
This is chronic, a synthetic cannabis. You'd have to take this to a chemist, wouldn't you, to know what's in it?
You would have to. You would have to be reasonably satisfied, though, that they contain a drug before you even seize them. And if you're not satisfied, you wouldn't take it off the person who possesses them. Chronic, in particular, is one of those synthetic cannabinoids that was outlawed in its original form in all states. It's since been re-synthesised.
All of these new drugs are mood and mind altering. No one suggests they're completely harmless, but because so little research has been done, we don't know just how dangerous they may be. And have you tried any of this?
I have tried a version of it, and it did what I expected it would do.
And it did what cannabis would do?
That's right. It tasted nothing like it. It smelt nothing like it, but the effect was very similar.
But that certainly wasn't the case for 19-year-old Ben.
My heart started pounding, like I could hear it in my ears. It just slowly crept up on me out of nowhere. This pounding noise in my ears, and I realised it was my heart. And my chest started tightening up really tight, and I thought the natural reaction was I thought I was having a heart attack.
Well, the advice we're getting is it's much more potent than cannabis, anywhere between 5 and 100 times more potent than cannabis.
So the synthetic stuff is stronger than the real stuff?
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, the king of the legal high, Matt Bowden, has moved on to producing his own rock opera, where he'll play his alter ego, Starboy.
Come here, buddy! Come here!
And he's comfortable with his dual roles of doting dad of 2 and modern-day drug baron. Would you be happy for your kids to take the synthetic drugs that you are or were involved in?
Okay, so the products which I produced, I only recommended for existing drug addicts. If my daughters were addicted to methamphetamine, then I'd encourage them to use the legal highs as a stepping stone off. And if they were smoking a lot of cannabis, then I'd encourage them to use something legal instead.
Why are you just not another drug dealer?
Well, I think if you look at let's look around the world and we say maybe in France there's a man who's selling wine, and maybe in Australia you've got your drive-through bottle stores, and I'm just offering an alternative for people from a different culture. I'm not actually promoting drug use, I'm promoting safer policy, and I'm very comfortable with that. We can end the war on drugs. It's dysfunctional, it's not working.
A lot of people would say that that's hypocritical because you participated in making these drugs.
We're against the war, we're not particularly against the drugs.
Whether you believe the Bowdens are helping or hindering, synthetic substances mean the war against drugs has a whole new frontier. But the demand is there.
Demand's there. Human nature would dictate that demand will always be there for illicit substances.
Total bans don't seem to have worked. Have you found that?
Well, I'm still in the business, and look, I'll be here for a while. As long as I'm in the business, I'll certainly have plenty of work to do. So total bans don't work, but what's the alternative is the question I ask.
Inside the billion-dollar cocaine war that stretches all the way from South America to Australia. In the past 3 years, our federal police have intercepted nearly 2 tonnes of cocaine on the lucrative Pacific route. Small yachts are loaded up with hundreds of millions of dollars worth of coke on the coast of Ecuador before making the long journey here. The innocent-looking yachties breeze into our eastern waters mostly undetected before offloading their cargo to local drug dealers. Hiding contraband below decks is a trick as old as smuggling itself, but it's never been as audacious or as dangerous. This is where the journey begins. In the myriad waterways of coastal Ecuador, cocaine is loaded onto boats that will carry it to the markets of America, Europe, and increasingly Australia. But for the crack police commando units hunting down the narco traffickers, it's mission impossible.
Is it pure?
No matter how much of the stuff they capture,
It looks like it's very pure.
the flood of cocaine into Australia grows every year. And the way it's getting here is ever more inventive.
Here we had a yacht that was part of a yacht race. These other participants had no idea that what they were racing with was a yacht that was full of cocaine.
All these boats begin their journey in South America. It's more than 7,000 nautical miles of open Pacific Ocean on very small yachts, always with the threat of wild seas and savage storms. And as Andrew Colvin, Assistant Commissioner of the Australian Federal Police, warns, there's always the threat of capture.
That's a popular and lucrative route for organised crime to try and penetrate. But as lucrative as it is, it's also risky.
It's become a high-stakes contest between the world's most powerful crime syndicates and the world's most powerful law enforcement agencies. And caught in the middle, Pacific Island nations like Tonga, now stopping off points on this long but highly profitable new trade route.
If it looks like paradise, well, for drug runners trying to avoid cops and customs and border patrols, it pretty much is, except when it goes wrong, as it did for the traffickers on this boat. What happened on board is still a mystery. What we do know is that this yacht set sail from Ecuador, heading for Australia, but somehow ended up here, wrecked on this remote reef. Hidden on board, $120 million worth of cocaine, not so well hidden, one rapidly decomposing body.
The corpse was this man, Slovakian national Milan Rinzak, dead at least 3 weeks before he was found on board the wrecked yacht Jarive. How he died still confounds authorities.
The autopsy has been done. There's nothing in that suggests foul play, but you've got to understand the body had deteriorated considerably in the heat.
Grant O'Fee is Tonga's perplexed police chief. If it wasn't foul play, how might have he died?
Well, it's as broad as your imagination, really, I guess. I mean, you've got the potential that, I suppose, if you're floating around in the Pacific and you're a bit bored and you like a bit of cocaine and you've got 200 kgs of the stuff, maybe you sample a product, we don't know. So, yeah, it's a mystery.
Adding to the intrigue, there were 2 men aboard the yacht when it left Ecuador. Where is that missing man?
I'm not being evasive here, I simply don't know. He's somewhere between Ecuador and Tonga.
This was the Jarive just a few months before it set sail. The plush 13-metre yacht was bought in Panama by an unknown buyer who handed over $90,000 in cash. The US Drug Enforcement Agency started tracking it from Ecuador, but lost it somewhere in the vast Pacific. Well, it's completely wrecked, isn't it? Kurt Coulson is a fishing guide in Tonga who knows these waters well.
Definitely not surprised that it ended up on this reef here if nobody was driving it. I fish out here a lot myself, and that's how my son and I saw it, and we actually found that it was this boat full of drugs.
So a drug boat with a dead body on it.
Yeah, kind of creepy.
After the alarm was raised, police found 204 kilograms of cocaine neatly sealed in 1 kilogram blocks inside hidden compartments.
Most boats do have cavities like this inside of them. It definitely makes it easy on somebody trying to hide something.
Tonga is a poor country and an easy target for the billion-dollar drug cartels looking for a base in the Pacific.
No, don't talk to me like that.
But even Tongans were shocked when the Speaker of the Parliament, Lord Tui Lekepa, was arrested on charges of conspiring with the Colombian drug cartel to import hundreds of kilos of cocaine into Australia. Lord Tui Lekepa, a member of the Tongan royal family, vouched for Colombian drug boss Obil Gomez to obtain a visitor's visa for Tonga, despite never having met him.
Do you know the Colombian drug lord Gomez?
Can you talk to my lawyer, please?
When police raided Lord Tui Lekepa's house, they found a stash of guns and ammunition. Do you feel that Tonga is being targeted by these drug cartels?
I don't know how drug dealers think, but they make their business choices obviously like anyone else.
Is their business choice made easier if you have members of parliament who are happy to be involved in the drug trade, as one of yours has been accused of doing?
Yeah, I imagine that doesn't help. I mean,
the drug conspiracy charges against Lord Tui Lekepa have now been withdrawn on the grounds of lack of evidence.
Excuse me, Lord Tui Lekepa.
When we approached him at his home, this not-so-chivalrous nobleman bolted and left his daughter to do the talking.
I'd like to speak to you. Is it your father?
Yeah, do you guys want to wait outside?
Then brought in some local muscle.
He was sleeping.
He's not sleeping, I just saw him drive in.
And finally called the police.
We just want to talk to him about cocaine.
What's fuelling this headlong dash into Australia by the drug cartels is demand. A seemingly insatiable market for the white powder.
The cartels are targeting Australia because of the profit. The importers are getting something in the order of $200,000 to $250,000 a kilo here. In America, you might get $25,000, $30,000 a kilo.
10 times, you're saying?
10 times greater.
Former New South Wales Assistant Police Commissioner Clive Small has watched the infatuation with cocaine spread from the stockbroker circuit and party scene to the working class and the outer suburbs. It is the ultimate aspirational drug, isn't it? I mean, you haven't made it unless you're snorting cocaine.
I think that's probably the attraction. I don't think cocaine still has the stigma that some of the other drugs have, and there's always an abundance of it.
Just a short time ago arrested Richard Buttrose, who at the time was driving this blue Mercedes-Benz.
In just 3 years, the number of Australians using cocaine jumped by more than 100,000 people to nearly 400,000. If you know where to look, it's everywhere, even though the police make a big show of the drugs they've seized. The Raj, moored in Vanuatu, on its way to Australia with 750 kilograms of cocaine on board. Estimated street value? $350 million. The Friday Freedom, docked in Bundaberg, 300 kilograms. Value? $78 million. The Mayhem of Eden allegedly collected its cargo from another yacht 800 kilometres off the Queensland coast. Seized half a tonne of cocaine, worth $160 million. All caught by the Australian Federal Police, a haul Assistant Commissioner Andrew Colvin is proud of. What percentage do you think you're getting?
I don't know. And I wouldn't want to speculate.
Does it worry you that you don't know?
What would worry me is if we weren't seizing and I wasn't confident that we were dismantling syndicates.
But we're not at a stage yet where the South American cocaine cowboys are saying, wow, Australia is way too hard, we're going somewhere else.
I don't think the South American cocaine cowboys are saying that about any country in the world. The profits are too great.
So is the AFP making any dent in this at all?
It might appear as though we're seizing a lot of the drugs. But if you're impacting on the market, what you'd be seeing, if you were being successful, is a periods of short supply, of increasing prices. I don't think we've seen a shortage in cocaine for an awful long time.
Welcome back to 60 Minutes and the extraordinary cocaine smuggling route that stretches from South America to Australia, worth billions of dollars. It's as audacious as it is lucrative. Pack small yachts with hundreds of kilos of cocaine and sail them straight into Australian waters. But now authorities in South America are fighting back. We're on the hunt for drug runners here in South America, where there's no shortage of cocaine and certainly no shortage of ships ready to take it out. How many shipments do you think get through that you don't know about?
In each country, 20 or 30% of cocaine is intercepted, but a lot more does get through.
General Juan Carlos Barragan, the police chief in charge of counter-narcotics in Ecuador, says the Jarive, the drug yacht stranded in Tonga, was monitored from the moment it arrived here.
There was a meticulous inspection of both the boat internally and also its papers, and nothing suspicious, including drugs, was found. As a result of that, we had to let it leave the port.
And why did the yacht come under suspicion?
The people on board never came out. They didn't act like tourists.
So you were watching them closely to know that.
It's a small country.
The Jarive may have left this marina empty, but police suspect it was here just offshore that she was loaded up with her illegal cargo, more than 200 kilograms of cocaine, before setting sail for Australia. Guayaquil, Ecuador is now the launching point for more and more boats because of its perfect positioning for the drug cartels. Ecuador has the waterways, and its nearest neighbours, Peru and Colombia, are by far the biggest producers of cocaine in the world. Some of the drugs head north to Mexico for the American market. And for that journey, the cartels now build their own submarines, capable of staying underwater for days at a time. This one, designed for a two-man crew, was captured just a few months ago. It's tiny. I don't know how they do this for 5 minutes, let alone 10 days. It's meant to have taken them to get to Mexico. This is not a one-off. In recent years, authorities have captured or sunk dozens of these death traps.
They're prepared to sacrifice lives. People who, for a handful of dollars, will sail that submarine, which, as you saw, it's basically a cage ready for people to die in.
Life is cheap on both sides of this war raging across South America. Here, for example, a police helicopter fires at drug traffickers on a main street in Rio. And here, the traffickers shoot back with deadly precision, killing all the police aboard. So it's not surprising that this crack unit of anti-narcotics police in Ecuador treat every mission as if it could be their last.
We're on patrol today looking for smaller local boats like fishing vessels and barges, which these police suspect might be carrying the cocaine out to bigger ships further out to sea, like motorboats and yachts, what they consider the motherships. And those motherships then can go anywhere in the world, Europe, America, even Australia.
And when the patrol spots a suspicious-looking vessel, they don't muck around. Every member of the crew is searched for drugs and weapons. If the boat is carrying cocaine, this could quickly turn into a gunfight. Again and again, the police swoop on suspect vessels. The reward? Seizures like this. Nearly 400 kilograms of cocaine, each package neatly imprinted with the insignia of the cartel.
C and the T.
Each one of these blocks is worth $250,000 by the time it hits the streets in Australia. And unbelievably, this is just the weekly haul of the small fraction of cocaine captured.
It must feel never-ending for you.
correcto porque...
Absolutely. Every Thursday we do these burns, and it just feels like there are still doors that we need to be closing to stop the flow of drugs.
These drugs go up in smoke. But the cop in charge fears the traffickers will keep winning if he doesn't get more cooperation from Western police forces. And he points directly at the Australian Federal Police. How good is your relationship with the Australian police authorities when it comes to stopping this trade?
I've been in charge of Ecuador's fight against drugs for 2 years now, and I've never heard of any exchange of information with the Australians.
For now, the drug run across the Pacific remains wide open. As for the missing crew member from the Jarive, well, we'll let you know if he surfaces. But don't hold your breath.
Welcome back. Most of us have been on the internet today, sent an email, Googled something, even bought a gift for ourselves or someone else. Whatever device you're using, you've got the whole world at your fingertips. Well, no, you don't. In fact, you have access to less than 10% of it. The other 90% of the internet is hidden, a vast, secret cyber underworld. It's called the dark web, and people aren't using it to buy shoes. They're buying drugs, weapons, anything you can imagine. The subterranean realm is sinister and untraceable, with consequences that can be deadly. So, show me how you'd go about buying your drugs.
Okay, so to start with, let's see, maybe we'll go for stimulants.
I'm about to take you into a world I didn't know existed. Okay, so we have quite a selection. What you're seeing is the new way to buy drugs. And for 22-year-old Sarah, buying her drugs of choice, ecstasy and LSD, has never been easier.
Yeah, so this is the stuff that the kids are buying.
Okay. To buy her drugs, Sarah doesn't even have to leave the house because they're all here on websites like this one, called Silk Road. Pure, uncut Peruvian cocaine. How much would you trust that?
I don't really trust anything that anyone says. I would read through all the forums and read through the feedback.
Incredibly, drug dealers are rated for their honesty and the quality of their products. A buyer feedback system just like eBay.
Bulk order arrived in 2 days, definitely not in jail or scam.
That would make you feel a little reassured?
Well, there's 18 pages of feedback.
It wasn't so long ago that Sarah had to buy her drugs on the street or at the homes of strangers. But now, online, she can order whatever she wants, whenever she wants, using the safety of an encryption program that hides her identity.
I find it less stressful than going to someone's house that I don't know, that could potentially rob me or, you know, get me arrested if the house is being watched or something. I definitely feel more comfortable doing it this way.
Express post. It comes in the mailbox.
Yeah. Most people would get it delivered under a different name, obviously, for like maybe a previous tenant or something like that.
Is it difficult to get onto Silk Road?
No, it's actually pretty easy.
So simple, a child could do it, and some do.
Preston was the one that if he didn't turn up at a party, you know, it wasn't a party.
He was the life of the party, was he?
Oh yeah, he was certainly the life of the party. He was a great kid.
In February last year, 16-year-old Perth boy Preston Bridge was looking forward to a special night out, his Year 12 school ball and the party that followed. His dad, Rod Bridge, agreed to Preston staying the night at a friend's place. But the next morning, the Bridge family's world would change forever when Rod and his daughter, out for breakfast, made a terrible discovery.
So we went down to a local cafe, and it was fully booked, so we decided to come back along the coast, and as we came along the coast...
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we were driving back and came across the motel on the main highway, and there was police and ambulances and people gathering around. And I remember getting out of the car and going over there, and I saw Preston's, one of his best mates, the look on his face.
And did you know then?
Straight away I knew it was him. Yeah, so anyway, we were told by the police officers in attendance that he'd fallen from a balcony and that he had a catastrophic head injury.
Preston was rushed to hospital, and only then did Rod Bridge learn that his son had taken a synthetic version of LSD, a deadly drug bought from Silk Road by a 17-year-old at the party.
Preston was hallucinating in some form in the motel room, and you know, obviously from the hallucinations, it's for some reasons it caused him to think he could either fly or jump or whatever. And yeah, witnesses have come forward and said that, you know, he didn't just fall off a balcony, he ran.
When Preston Bridge died 2 days later, his father began looking for answers.
One of the kids had mentioned to me that Preston had taken a drug that was purchased from Silk Road. And I thought Silk Road was like a suburb in Perth somewhere. I had no idea. I was devastated to think that that's humanly possible, to buy, you know, drugs off a website.
At least 2 other young Australians have died after taking drugs bought online. Sydney schoolboy Henry Kwan had taken a synthetic LSD when he jumped from a 3rd-floor apartment. And Daniel Skelly, a 21-year-old from Sydney's northern beaches, died after taking cocaine he'd bought online. From talking to Preston's friends, have you been able to find out if this is something that is common?
In the school grounds, yes. A lot of kids know about it, and a lot of kids have made purchases on Silk Road, which was a great concern to me. A great concern, thinking that teenagers can do this, yet adults have no idea. It was frightening.
What many don't realise is that if you're using a search engine like Google or Yahoo, you're only scratching the surface of the internet. Below is a mass of hidden content, more than 90% of the internet, known as the deep or dark web. With the right software, it's easily accessible, and it's here that the new breed of drug dealers are selling their wares.
It was mind-blowing when you first get there and you realize what sort of services are being on there.
FBI agent Chris Tarbell, a specialist cyber cop, has spent years digging deep into the dark web, and in particular, Silk Road. In a very quick space of time, extraordinary services were being offered, not just drugs.
Yes, counterfeit goods, murders for hire, hacking services.
In fact, I think there was something like 13,000 services or offerings on this site, is that right?
That's just on any one given day.
Online drug markets have flourished because customers can pay their dealer without a credit card and without leaving a money trail. And that's made possible by what is a new legal currency called Bitcoin, now in use all over the world, including Australia. Bitcoin is a virtual currency. You can't see it and you can't touch it, but it does exist and you can make purchases with it. To buy Bitcoin, it's pretty basic. You download an app on your mobile, like that. You set up an account or a wallet, as they call it. You find an ATM like this one, and it is as simple as this. Yeah, I've got 13.8 Bitcoins? We should stress that most outlets that accept Bitcoin, like this one, are legitimate businesses.
2 strong skinny lattes, please.
It's $8.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoins are easy to use and, according to the FBI's Chris Tarbell, almost impossible to trace.
It's just like going to the store and paying with cash. That money cannot be traced back to the user.
By this time last year, Silk Road had nearly 1 million registered customers, and Australians ranked as the 3rd largest users. More than $1.2 billion in drug deals had been made on the site. And behind this vast criminal enterprise lurked a shadowy figure known only as Dread Pirate Roberts.
You're the Dread Pirate Roberts, admit it.
With pride. What can I do for you?
The original Dread Pirate Roberts was a swashbuckling character in the movie The Princess Bride, an outlaw hero who often changes his identity and always wins the day. But by now, the FBI was working around the clock to unmask the real-life villain.
And there were people essentially online 24/7 as part of the team that was monitoring and gathering even just the little bits of evidence. You don't want to stop, you don't want to eat, you don't want to sleep. But it came down to just a slip-up.
Dread Pirate Roberts logged on to a website using an email account registered in his real name. Within a minute, he changed it, but it was too late.
We were able to grab it.
The name the FBI had was Ross William Ulbricht, 29-year-old American computer programmer.
Don't get comfortable in one way, like try something else.
By sheer chance, police had also intercepted a package of fake identity cards, all with Ulbricht's photo, ordered off his own site. One of those fake IDs was a New South Wales driver's licence. It turns out Ross Ulbricht, the alleged mastermind of Silk Road, had not long returned from an extended stay in Australia. He lived here in Bondi for several months while allegedly creating the website. Those who met him said he was a nice, quiet bloke who was always glued to his laptop. But police allege that nice bloke soon turned nasty. They claim that as his online drug stall grew into a billion-dollar empire, Ulbricht began to feel threatened. And it was then, the FBI alleges, that Ross Ulbricht's thoughts began to turn to murder. It would appear, though, that he did order a hit, and it would appear as though he thought the hit had been carried out.
Yes, he paid for it.
The FBI alleges Ross Ulbricht was now living the life of a deadly drug lord and paid more than $700,000 to have 6 of his perceived enemies killed, although no bodies have ever been found.
One of those hits, the hitman talked about the reported victim had 3 other roommates, and they went back and forth on should we kill them outside of the home or in the home, and he just said, I'll leave it up to your discretion, but it'd probably be easier just to do it in the home.
In October last year, the FBI swooped. Ross Ulbricht was sitting at his laptop in the science fiction section of a San Francisco library. But to ensure they got the evidence they wanted, the federal agents had to grab Ulbricht before he had time to shut down his computer.
My prosecutors in the case essentially wanted him online and the computer unencrypted at his arrest. There was a team of FBI agents that had put themselves in a place to be able to get that computer while it was open and running as quickly as possible.
Ross Ulbricht, FBI.
Tell me what it's like when you are closing in.
It's an excitement that you couldn't even buy off Silk Road. All the drugs you could buy on the site, it's not the same exciting as catching the guy. It's an adrenaline rush.
Ross Ulbricht is now in jail awaiting trial, facing charges of narcotics trafficking, computer hacking, and money laundering. But he's making no admissions of guilt. Albrecht's arrest has not put an end to online drug sales. A new Silk Road is up and running, and dozens of copycat websites have followed suit. All of which is devastating for the father of a child lost to drugs bought from the site.
Where do you put Silk Road in this?
At the top, because the kid that had bought it off Silk Road had the ability to buy it, get it delivered, take it to the school ball, take it to the after party, and then front up at 4:30 in the morning at a motel and hand him out like he's handing out lollies.
So without Silk Road and its ability to sell drugs anonymously,
yeah,
you think that Preston might be alive today?
Absolutely, have no doubt whatsoever.
Gemma Toms was not what you'd regard as a drug addict. She was quite the opposite. At 17, Gemma was energetic and conscientious, but her promising young life was cut short after taking ecstasy at a Perth music festival. The added tragedy is that Gemma's story is not unusual, and it seems an all too regular occurrence. A teenager killed by ecstasy or another of the so-called party drugs. Clearly, Australia's drug strategy is not working. But there is another way. Forget sniffer dogs and the threat of jail. In Europe, a radical approach is focused on one thing: saving young lives. And that means helping partygoers find out exactly what's in the drugs before they take them. Pill testing might seem confronting, but it is working. A dance party in Vienna, Austria. But it could be anywhere in the world. The reality is that for many here, ecstasy and other party drugs are part of their night.
How does this work? How do you test the drug?
But the chances are high that no one will die at this party because they can have their drugs tested right next to the dance floor.
I got ecstasy. Okay.
All that is required for the test is a tiny scraping. The police stay away to encourage the young partygoers to have their drugs checked, which is done in a mobile lab outside. Chemist Rainer Schmidt and drugs counsellor Karl Kotscheper run this program in Vienna, paid for by the city's health department.
We see drug taking as a fact, so we want to promote safer use, but the decision is always on their side.
The test takes about 30 minutes. 30 minutes that could save a life by informing the user exactly what they're about to take. So a program like this helps people decide whether to take them or not to take them, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it decides a lot more, because when somebody has more knowledge about stuff, then he can decide it for his own what to do.
The results are posted on a notice board. White means your pill contains what you thought it did. Yellow means there are other drugs in it. Red means it's unknown or highly dangerous. Do you believe you're saving lives?
Yes, I do. I think the more information you can give to people, the more they are free to make their own decisions, and I think this is always a good thing.
But should they be able to make free decisions over something that has been outlawed, something that's illegal?
I think yes, because drug laws were invented to prevent people from using drugs. Did they do that? No. There are these laws for years and years and years and years, and nothing has changed.
Do you think that she had any intention of dying that day?
No, absolutely not.
February 1st, 2009, Perth teenager Gemma Toms is on her way to the Big Day Out dance festival. Did you worry or did you think that she might try drugs there that day?
It didn't cross my mind that she was going to actually go and take ecstasy, that's for sure.
But what Gemma's mum, Peter Davies, didn't know was her daughter had already taken one ecstasy pill at home, and she had 2 more in her pocket. At the venue, Gemma's friends say she panicked when she heard that police were patrolling with sniffer dogs and swallowed the other 2 pills at once.
So I walked into the hospital and my beautiful little girl was laying there with tubes out of her mouth, and I was in shock, absolute, complete shock.
It is hard.
Gemma's stepsister Eden and stepdad Paul were with Peter as Gemma died. The 3 ecstasy pills she'd taken were always going to kill her because Gemma had no idea how strong they were. Do you think that she had any understanding of the risk she was taking?
No, there's no way she thought she was going to die from it. Gemma wasn't that kind of person. She loved life. She had a great job. She was excited for the future. There's absolutely no way.
What is the message in Australia?
Don't do drugs. Period.
Is that message being heard?
Not at all.
Dr. David Caldecott is an Australian toxicologist and emergency room physician who has witnessed the worst of what ecstasy and other similar drugs can do.
The deaths are terrible. The deaths are what keep me awake at night, because the deaths involve generally extraordinarily young people, and it's all around us. It's happening all the time. And if the Australian general public think that it's a minority, they're deluding themselves.
David says our current drugs policy ignores reality because it lumps so-called recreational drugs in with much more dangerous substances like ice and heroin.
This is the equivalent of priests telling young people not to have sex. It represents a stunning misunderstanding of adolescent psychology.
Do you accept that the very presence of police at some of these parties will in fact make the behaviour of that drug taking riskier? You know, kids see sniffer dogs, so they down their tablets, multiple tablets.
Well, I don't accept that as a premise.
Detective Superintendent Tony Cook of the New South Wales Drug Squad rejects any notion that Australia's current drug enforcement policy, targeting dance festivals with sniffer dogs and the threat of prosecution, might be contributing to deaths from ecstasy and the like.
We very clearly tell people that these drugs are illegal and they are a criminal offence, and we will continue to enforce the law.
The authorities believe that it's against the law to take these drugs, that there are police patrolling, there are sniffer dogs there. That's what's there to keep them safe.
But it hasn't, has it? It hasn't stopped it. It's not going to stop it.
A mistake, that's all it was. And today, the consequences.
Just in the last 12 months, there's been a spate of high-profile deaths of young people after taking ecstasy at dance parties. Dozens more have been hospitalised. Peter Davies and a growing number of critics believe Australia's drugs policy puts police in an impossible position. What priority is saving lives?
It's obviously a significant priority.
Is it the main priority?
Yes, it is.
So currently, we're not achieving the main priority, are we?
Well, unfortunately, some people still engage in the behaviour of their own volition, which has the most terrible of outcomes. But to characterise that by saying that police aren't concerned with saving lives is absolutely incorrect.
Ingjerd van der Heide is the same age as Gemma was when she died, but she lives in Holland, where every major city here has a state-sanctioned pill testing centre.
I brought one pill.
You bought it as ecstasy?
Yeah, I bought it as ecstasy.
Like about 70% of ecstasy users worldwide, Ingjerd only takes the drug occasionally. And that's even more reason for her to want to find out exactly what she's taking.
Do you know how much you need to take for your body weight?
I know because I'm a woman. I can get 1 to 1.5 milligrams of MDMA for each kilogram I have.
The pill that you've just tested, tell me about it.
It's a very high dose pill. For a girl with her weight and length, it's too much. So you need to be aware of it.
How does that change your behaviour, if at all?
I will just take a quarter or a half, and then we will see. But no, I will never take one pill at one moment. That's too much. It always is.
Are they adapting their usage because they're being warned?
Yeah, definitely. They know what the consequences are of high contents of drugs.
Ninette van Hasselt is with Holland's Trimbos Institute, which has run the pill-checking program for more than 20 years. How would you describe the difference in drug takers here in the Netherlands and those in Australia?
What fascinates me is that if you look at the way people are taking drugs in Australia when they go out, is that they're not very much concerned on what they take, because they don't have an idea of the real contents of what they're taking, and they're less informed on the consequences of the different drugs. So it's a wild night out.
One of the greatest fears of the pill testing program is that by its very existence it sanctions drug taking, and so therefore more people will start using illegal drugs. Well, here in Austria, where the program has been operating for nearly 2 decades, the opposite is true. Studies show that of those who've had their drugs tested, a third say they will no longer take them. And if the results prove dodgy, they'll warn their friends off them too.
We know for a fact that venues which offer pill checking or drug checking, it changes the way young people take pills.
With Australia topping the world in the use of ecstasy, Dr. David Caldecott has been lobbying for us to follow Europe's lead, to let young people have their pills tested, to know what they're taking before it kills them.
The way we're dealing with drugs at the moment doesn't work for people who've already decided to use drugs. And what we have to try to do is to engage at a different level.
But just because this group of people ignores the law, does that mean the law should change?
Well, if a law doesn't work, it's not a very good law, is it? And the message of just saying no, that's terrible. And it's killing people. And it needs to stop, and it needs to stop now.
Do you accept that for a group of people, the message of don't take drugs and your other message that they're dangerous is just not being heard, that they don't believe you?
Unfortunately, yes. And that's disappointing.
So, can you see a day when there might be pill checking in Australia?
Well, no, I don't think so. That to me would be tacit support of drug use.
No young person deserves to be a statistic. But the truth is, the overwhelming majority of young people who take ecstasy do so only for a few years. For them, it is a phase, a dangerous phase, but a phase nonetheless.
We know for a fact that this particular group of consumers are people who will probably be functional users. So they're not impaired. They are taxpayers. Many of them will, in the end, become captains of industry, probably. And our job is to try to keep them alive, while shortening the space of time in which they use drugs.
It doesn't mean we're condoning drugs at all. It's just another way for our kids to be safe.
How would pill checking have saved her life, do you think?
I can only imagine now. I can only imagine that if it was in place then, that I'd be able to have my beautiful daughter back. And how can you not want to do that? How can they say it's not a good thing? It's not just my daughter, it's other people's daughters and sons. And it's a life that's gone that could be here.
Our special investigation deep inside the clandestine world of synthetic drugs, powerful mind-altering chemicals that are killing Australian teenagers. It's our next drug crisis, a wave of destruction the experts say will be bigger and more devastating than the Ice Epidemic. Rod Bridge is one such expert, but not by choice. Rod lost his teenage son Preston to a synthetic drug 2.5 years ago. It set the devastated father on a quest to find out where these deadly designer drugs were coming from. An undercover mission that's taken him deep inside China.
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about this one. You know, you're dealing with people that you don't know much about, so.
Rod Bridge is on an extraordinary mission. This grieving dad is in China, posing as an Australian crime boss.
Yeah, okay, this is the place here. Just do it again. First building, that's where we've got to go to.
Venturing into the heart of China's deadly synthetic drug trade.
Hello, Amy.
Oh, hello.
It's Rodney, how are you?
Where are you now?
Yeah, we're in the car park.
Rod is stepping into a sinister and dangerous world.
I don't want to be seen. They're looking back.
Claiming to be a major drug trafficker, cashed up and ready to buy big volumes of designer drugs.
Okay, yeah, so what have we got?
Including 2,5-I-N-Bomi, the deadly substance that ended the life of his 16-year-old son, Preston.
Now, what's the price of 2,5-I?
You want this one?
2,5-I, yeah.
They don't know who you are.
Wouldn't have a clue, no.
They're not the slightest bit concerned.
Most probably concerned about how much money I had, I suppose, but that's about it.
Price
on that one, yeah.
Okay. About $6,300.
A kilo bag of crystals will be worth upwards of $1 million by the time it's smuggled into Australia, diluted onto paper blotters and sold to unsuspecting kids as LSD. It's just one of hundreds of synthetic drugs designed to mimic the effects of illicit street drugs like cocaine, ecstasy and marijuana.
Comes in 1 kilo. You know, we're on the verge of some sort of tsunami about to happen, and these synthetic drugs that are coming in are just going to get bigger and bigger, and you know, this has got to stop. Somebody's got to stop it.
Just 3 years ago, Rod Bridge could never have imagined the course his life would take. He was a successful Perth businessman, proud father of 16-year-old Preston and 20-year-old Amy. Then, in February 2013, Preston kissed his mum goodbye and headed out to his high school ball in Perth. Late that night, he took a synthetic version of LSD, bought on the internet by a teenage friend. As Rod Bridge told us last year, something in the drug caused Preston to leap from a high balcony.
Preston was hallucinating in some form in the motel room, and you know, from the hallucinations, it's for some reasons it caused him to think he could either fly or jump or whatever. And yeah, witnesses have come forward and said that, you know, he didn't just fall off a balcony, he ran.
For Rod and Preston's mum Vicky, it was quite simply impossible to comprehend.
I kept thinking, no, everything's going to be okay. I don't have that feeling that, you know, it's all going to be fine. But of course, it wasn't long after that we were told that he suffered severe brain injuries. And at that stage, I just curled up in a ball on the floor, and I just didn't want to lose him. But we were just all hoping for a miracle, and we were hoping that, you know, he's just going to wake up, and everything. People do wake up.
When Preston Bridge died 2 days after leaping from the balcony, his father began looking for answers.
The substance that Preston took was called 2,5-I-N-Bomi, which is a synthetic form of LSD.
2,5-I-N-Bomi is a synthetic drug that mimics LSD and causes hallucinations so powerful that Preston and other victims, like Sydney schoolboy Henry Kwan, believed they could fly. Dangerous does not begin to describe it.
Enbomi is 60 times more potent than normal LSD.
60?
Yeah.
Tyron Edwards is the chief scientist at SafeWork Laboratories and specialises in testing for synthetic drugs.
We've got a new one here and it looks a bit different than the others. So
He's horrified at how quickly these drugs have flooded the market in Australia.
Extremely scary. After you've dealt with cannabis, cocaine, ecstasy, and you think, yeah, there's an ice epidemic, you know, this will be worse.
That's a statement.
Yeah, it will be worse with some of these chemicals. You know, reports in America of a person chewing off someone's face while on it. Now, you know, that's mind altering to the X degree. It's unbelievable.
The cops are losing and the chemists are winning, churning out new and ever more powerful drugs. When one drug is banned, manufacturers simply tweak a molecule to make it a different substance.
I want my mom! I want my mom!
They're easy to get, they're cheap, they're more potent. Enbomi, for example, a hit of Enbomi is the size of 6 grains of salt.
6 grams of salt?
Yeah, and because of the low volumes involved, you don't have a clue. You could be dead within, 10 minutes of taking this stuff.
China is the world's biggest producer of synthetic drugs, and business is booming. Here, the drugs are legally manufactured and sold as research chemicals, a deliberate deceit which fools no one. These are not research chemicals. In fact, the only research drug bosses are carrying out here in China is to create new drugs to stay one step ahead of the law. And the only guinea pigs are kids from countries like Australia who take this stuff without having any idea what it's going to do to them.
You can take these drugs, but once you take them, it's not you anymore.
Tell me what your name is?
These drugs or these psychoactive substances are deadly. I mean, fatal outcomes.
Under an assumed name, Rod makes contact with suppliers advertising online.
Cheap and high quality 2,5-I Enbomi. The price is $6,100.
And discovers some are so keen to do business, they're willing to meet him personally if he comes to China.
We should be back in 4 days.
Rob believes it's something he has to do. His daughter Amy is not so sure.
After losing Preston, it's a bit like a separation anxiety, especially when he's putting himself in danger. It's very worrying.
What was Dad's reasoning for doing it?
You know, he's on a mission, and I support him 100% on that.
But nonetheless, a dangerous assignment.
Yes, very dangerous.
Rod's starting point is Hefei, a provincial capital 3 hours by train from Shanghai and home to many of China's biggest synthetic drug traffickers. Rod is making connections in Hefei's drug underworld. The so-called research chemical industry may still be technically legal in China, but the suppliers know the authorities could crack down at any moment. So they like to stay in the shadows.
1, 2, 3, go!
But one major figure in Hefei's research chemical trade, a man he knows only as the boss, is keen to impress Rod and takes him out on the town. It's the break Rod's been looking for.
I want to try and establish how these products come into the country, because if we do stop those drugs coming in, then we've got half a chance.
This pen is your microphone.
Rod's cover story is that he wants to show his business partner Actually, a 60 Minutes producer,
but you've got to press it again to actually record.
that the drugs can be safely shipped to Australia without detection.
Well, yeah, I'm a little bit concerned about this one, but anyway, we'll, a bit nervous, but we'll see how we go with it. You're dealing with people that you don't know much about, so.
For them, you're a potentially big buyer.
Yes, very, very big, and and from a country that's purchasing large quantities now.
The drug suppliers are wary. Rod is instructed to arrive outside a gated compound on a street in Hegarty.
Yeah, it's in there. Okay. Yeah, okay, keep going.
And then call a number he's been given.
Yes, hello. Is Peng Lee there, please? Hello? We should just walk up there. He could have left the office to come downstairs knowing it was me. Okay. Yeah? Okay, let's just go. Let's go.
Welcome back to 60 Minutes and our Undercover investigation. Rod Bridge is on a mission to expose the synthetic drug trade that killed his son. He wants to find out how vast quantities of designer drugs are flooding into Australia. So he's gone to China, the biggest source of these drugs, posing as an Australian crime boss. Filming with hidden cameras, he's about to meet his new drug contacts.
Hello. How are you? Good.
Hello.
Stephen.
Hello.
Hey,
Hello.
my name is Susie.
Susie.
Yeah.
Rod and our producer are led into a building, past security cameras, through doors that lock in place behind them. Like every drug operation we will see in China, this one is clearly doing enough business to have several staff filling orders from around the world. And they're happy to show off their product.
Okay, yeah. So what have we got?
This is APVP.
So that's the new product now, APVP.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
APVP, sold as bath salts and used in synthetic cannabis, is one of the deadliest psychoactive drugs on the market. It was so-called bath salts that killed Newcastle truckie Glenn Punch, who went on a psychotic rampage before dying of a cardiac arrest. Like other victims caught on video, Glenn Punch and his girlfriend, feeling so overheated by the drug, stripped off their clothes. But to the manufacturers in China, the side effects mean little. It's just another product for sale.
And how much is this per kilo?
1,100 USD.
1,100 US.
Yes.
Okay.
This is 25i.
Your 25i, yeah.
25i,
Yep.
right. How much is the 25i? For 1 kilo?
1 kilo, 1,600. About $6,300.
6,300 euros.
Yeah.
Okay. What is the best selling product in Australia at the moment?
4-CMC.
4-CMC, otherwise known as clefidrone, is a stimulant that's supposed to act like ecstasy, but it is far more potent and often fatal.
4-CMC.
4CMC, okay.
It's a drug will be offered time and again by drug suppliers in Hegarty.
How much is 4CMC?
Price of 4-CMC is 1,250.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any samples here we could look at? This is 4CMC. Okay. 3 CMC. Yeah, what is the difference?
There are different products.
How does it affect the person who takes it? Is there a different effect?
Different product.
Different product.
Yes, different effect.
Which is better for the person taking it?
This one will much better. Maybe you can
The
have
3 CMC is better. Okay.
You can have some sample. I'll try.
Even more shocking is the extraordinary volume of synthetic drugs these manufacturers are ready to supply.
If we wanted 10 kilos, you can do 10 kilos?
Of course.
Oh, yeah?
100 kilos is all fine.
100 kilos, okay.
100 kilos from just one supplier. There are dozens more in this city alone, just as keen to show off their wares.
Do you supply much to Australia now?
Yes. 50 kilograms a month, or sometimes more.
How much would you ship out here a month?
Actually, about 100 kilos.
Okay. Yeah, how much can they make if I wanted 200 kilograms?
You will buy 200 kilograms a month. I will give you $950 1 kilogram. This is the price includes shipping cost.
It's all evidence Rod would like to show the newly formed Australian Border Force. But he claims his previous attempts to get police and customs authorities to act have been ignored.
We spoke to government agencies about it. I'll get back to you tomorrow, and 3 months later still haven't heard from anybody. You know, I was just so disgusted on what I found out. It's got to be taken to the next level. Has to be.
These are the new wave of drugs, in your opinion? This is what we are going to see next on our streets?
No, we won't, because we've taken action to ban their import into Australia.
It was only last week that Justice Minister Michael Keenan announced a blanket ban on all synthetic drug imports. Are you being a bit naive, thinking that just banning them will stop them?
Well, it's like all illegal drugs, Liz. It's a big challenge for our law enforcement agencies to make sure that we're doing all we can to stop illegal drugs from coming into Australia.
Astonishingly, the Australian Border Force told us this week it has no available figures on the amount of synthetic drugs detected coming into this country, despite having detailed statistics on all other illicit drug seizures. I'm just not hearing how effective our Border Force control is. I'm not hearing from them what we've achieved. I'm not hearing from them, how difficult it is to get these drugs in. In fact, I'm hearing nothing. Nothing. So I'm not seeing any evidence.
That is complete and utter nonsense.
Well, I'm not seeing any evidence from them that they are successful.
Well, I've just told you that we've had record seizures in Australia for illicit drugs.
But not synthetic drugs.
And any criminal who seeks to gain the system in Australia runs a very real risk of being detected and being prosecuted.
That threat doesn't seem to be worrying the smugglers. A packing room is crammed with boxes and barrels of raw material. Destination, Australia. Delivery, guaranteed within 7 days. All products air freighted to your doorstep by international couriers. It's one of the big secrets of drug smuggling that it's extremely difficult for sniffer dogs to detect these new substances.
They're all synthetic, which is, probably the same, the dog's probably sniffing the same thing that it is, the material of your case is made out of. So the dogs won't pick it up.
No wonder China's synthetic drug merchants don't seem the slightest bit worried.
How do you mask the product to stop dogs smelling?
We will discuss the product in some material to make it safe past the customer. Every product has his own smile.
Right, every product has his own smile. For 25i, what is the best way to mask that?
And with that, we get a demonstration of one operation's smuggling technique. A $15 water filter unit used in aquariums.
How many do you think you would send to Australia in that?
This is for 1 kilo.
Each syndicate has its own unique method of smuggling the drugs.
Like customs?
Yes, this one can lock the smell in the package so the dog cannot smell it.
That's our biggest concern, packaging.
Yes.
Because detection.
But we have a lot of experience in package to Australia,
Yep.
So we know how the customers.
And even if in the unlikely event the package is seized by Australian Customs, every one of the suppliers we met guaranteed to replace it free or at half price.
About
50% of the cost.
Yes, and we can bear 50% and you pay 50% again, and I resent it.
Okay.
But don't worry, Australia is safe.
Australia is safe, isn't it?
Australia is safe.
What have we got in place to detect these synthetic drugs coming into Australia?
Well, it's often the same methodologies we use for detecting other illegal drugs.
For example, sniffer dogs. Are they being used to detect synthetic drugs?
Yes, they are. I mean, I'm not keen to give criminals a how-to guide to avoid our detection methodologies, by the way.
Are you sure about that? Because I've been told quite specifically that no sniffer dog at this point can detect synthetic drugs because, frankly, synthetic drugs smell like your bag or any other synthetic substance that might be being carried in.
Look, it really depends on what substance we're talking about. There's lots of variations of synthetic drugs.
All synthetic drugs I'm talking about.
Well, criminals seek to mask the way they import illegal substance into Australia in lots of different ways.
But drug testing experts like Tyron Edwards says the minister is wrong.
The dogs can't pick them up because of the low volatility of the compound, and they are synthetic. So the dogs are usually just in tune with natural compounds, which, cocaine and heroin are.
Okay.
Perhaps most frightening of all is that the people selling these drugs seem to have no idea what effects the drugs will have on the person taking them.
MXE.
What's that one? MXE? What do they use that for?
You can test it. If you like it, I will provide my best price for you.
Ask them straight out about dosages and this stuff here can create deaths, and they're fully aware of that. Their attitude to me is that everyone's temperament's different. Just don't take too much or you'll die.
Is that what they actually say?
Yeah, exactly the words they said.
It is risky business.
Comes in the box like this.
And it's clear by the end that one of our hosts is suspicious.
Okay, now
it's time to leave.
Payment. I think we better get out of here. Yeah, let's go. Can we go? Yeah. I was waiting for him to pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Make a call. Whew.
For many, this might seem to be an unwinnable war. But for Rod Bridge, there's too much at stake to give up. And a promise that a 16-year-old boy named Preston will never be forgotten. I think a lot of dads might understand what you're doing.
Yeah, well, I hope so. And I hope that message gets to everybody else, and especially to their children. And and if we can start the ball rolling and talk about these products, then we might have a chance.
As well as taking on China's drug lords, Rod Bridge has also set up Side Effect, a much-needed organisation to educate young Australians on the dangers of synthetic drugs.
It's sickening to contemplate, but Australia currently teeters on the edge of losing the war against illicit drugs. They're the scourge of our time, but despite the efforts of local law enforcement agencies, the volume of narcotics, especially ice, smuggled into the country grows, as does the casualty count. However, as close as we are to defeat, surrender isn't an option. So now Australian police are going directly to the source to try to stop the menace. And when it comes to drug cultivation and production, Mexico claims the unwanted label of the place to be. Taking on the drug cartels and crime gangs is incredibly dangerous work, but it just might save a generation of young Australians. Ice, methamphetamine, or crystal meth. It doesn't matter what you call it, the impact is the same. Carnage. And Australian families are suffering more casualties than just about any other country.
Does it knock the wind out of you when your son tells you for the first time, I'm using ice?
I just thought he's going to die. That's what I thought.
In communities across Australia, authorities fear we're losing generations to an ice epidemic that's out of control. Tonight, we hear from police and magistrates at their wits' end.
Look, I see reports from people saying that they started as young as 9.
Have you ever seen a drug more damaging than this?
No.
It is actually starting to really crucify and really harm generations of Australians.
And we speak to an addict on a one-way road to oblivion.
What's the longest you've gone without sleeping on a nice bender?
3 weeks.
You've got to go close to killing yourself at that stage, don't you?
I'd say so.
But first, I want to take you to the other side of the world, to Mexico, where Australian officers have taken the unprecedented step of teaming up with Mexican police to stem the tide of ice heading our way.
Yes, there's a number of cartels here in Mexico looking to ship drugs and misery around the world.
Mexico's federal police don't mess around. There's a drug war to be fought here, and they aim to win it. But the cartels are just as determined to turn this country into a meth-producing powerhouse. We're flying out on a potentially deadly drug raid. Surveillance officers believe they've located a major manufacturing operation in the hills outside the city of Guadalajara.
We are deep in cartel country, where the exchange of gunfire is happening on a daily basis. In fact, in Mexico last year, there were more than 27,000 murders. That's a new record high. And this area that we're in right now, well, it's the most brutal of them all.
This is the home turf of the most notorious criminal gang in the country, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. The CJNG is the worst of a very bad bunch. Cartels battling each other and the state to control a multi-billion-dollar drug trade.
Awful lot of murders going on in Mexico now, and a lot of it is cartel to cartel violence, fighting for control of key parts of Mexico. So it is a very violent business.
Conrad Jensen is the Australian Federal Police's first full-time operative to be based in Mexico. His mission is to stop Mexico's ice flooding into Australia.
Some of the cartels that we're talking about in Mexico here have global reach. They have a presence in most of the continents. If there's money to be made, they'll do it.
And when it comes to organised crime, I mean, it doesn't come any bigger than Mexico, does it?
No, it's right up there. Certainly Mexico is a priority country for us, and the scale of the problem here, we're going to be here we're here for the long haul.
This is the first time Mexico's federal police have ever allowed media to film on board their Special Forces helicopters as they fly out on one of these seek and destroy missions. More than 50 heavily armed officers are on board and prepared for anything. Snipers often hide in these mountains, and the troops don't know whether they're heading out to a meth lab or a marijuana crop, or possibly both.
So in amongst all this thick scrub, you can see a few light green patches down there that they've just spotted, and they think that's a drug plantation.
The drug lords would love to blow these choppers out of the sky, so we're forced to land a kilometre away and proceed cautiously to the site on foot. It's steep and the going is tough. The hope is the criminals will clear out, but in cartel country, the reality is that such assumptions can be deadly. This is the perfect terrain for an ambush. Well, it's taken a 45-minute trek to find the target, and to be honest, you smell it long before you actually see it. But here it is, a huge marijuana crop, and they think there are plantations like this all the way up this valley. Marijuana may be a basic cash crop for the cartels, but I'm walking through millions and millions of dollars worth of dope, which helps enable vast criminal empires. But as profitable as it is, it's obvious they don't waste their billions on their field workers. This camp is a pigsty, and it's pretty clear the men bolted to avoid arrest or a deadly shootout.
This is considered a big plantation with about 10 to 15,000 marijuana plants, which we will destroy today.
This looks like pretty hard work for you guys.
The effort to find and demolish drug plantations is very hard work and exhausting.
Today, the federal police hit the cartel where it hurts the most, financially. On this one raid, 35 tonnes of dope was ripped out of the ground from 6 different plots. That's approximately $300 million worth up in smoke. This is just another day in this increasingly deadly drug war, but it's a fight Police Commissioner Manelich Castilla-Craviotto is up for. You're the face of the fight against these drug cartels. Do you have a fear for your own life?
Every policeman feels fear, fear that allows us to be alert. The right fear is an ally of police work. And of course we're afraid, but our conviction in the face of this problem is much greater. Fear will never be greater than our conviction.
The cartels may have lost today, but they have far more lucrative cash flows elsewhere, namely cocaine and possibly the most insidious drug of them all, methamphetamine. The Mexican drug cartels will do whatever they can to turn a buck, and there's nothing that has a bigger profit margin for them right now than methamphetamine production. And there's no country that pays more for meth or ice than Australia, making us the perfect nation for these criminals to target.
Mexico is a source country for methamphetamine, and we're seeing large imports of meth from Mexico into Australia.
If we go back 10 years ago, I mean, Mexican cartels were probably mainly targeting the US, but is what you're saying that in recent years, Mexican cartels have really started seeing Australia as a growing market?
Most definitely. They see the price of drugs in Australia compared to the US. They're business orientated, so if they can make a dollar in that part of the world, they'll try their hand at it. If we can do something here to disrupt these criminal groups, infiltrate them and share intelligence with the agencies here, then we're certainly helping our situation back in Australia.
The AFP's Conrad Jensen has worked in Afghanistan and Colombia, but Mexico is his most challenging job yet because of the huge amounts of money to be made here from the ice trade.
You're talking a huge markup on the price of drugs here. The methamphetamine is produced here, and if they can produce it here for a few $1,000s a kilo, then get it to Australia and sell it for, say, $200,000 a kilo, there's big money to be made.
And they're looking to exploit that at every opportunity now?
Oh, yes, yeah. We've seen evidence of that.
And when you say you've seen evidence, I mean, what are you seeing?
Well, large importations of drugs, methamphetamine and coke, into Australia from Mexico that we've detected and intercepted, and certainly there's more of that to come.
So Neil, this was ice that was destined for Australian streets?
Yeah, so it was. It's, equates to roughly what you're seeing there, a street value of over $2 million.
Just in that one box?
Absolutely. So it just goes to show the profits involved in this sort of activity, and this is why people take these risks.
Where was this shipment intercepted from?
It was intercepted from Mexico. 24 kilos seizure in total, 2.5 kilos in this particular, what you're seeing here in front of you. It is a drop in the ocean, but by the same token, it's important that we stop it.
Neil Gagan heads the organised crime unit for the AFP and says ice use is now at epidemic proportions in Australia, an estimated 8 tonnes a year.
If you look at consumption levels of ice compared to any other narcotic, it's through the roof. It is actually starting to really crucify and really harm generations of Australians. And it's not just Australians, it's a worldwide problem that we're actually trying to get on top of. So yes, we are focused on meth.
You talk about losing generations. It's a pretty sad state.
It's a very sad state.
What's the longest you've gone without sleeping on an ice bender?
3 weeks.
Like, you've got to go close to killing yourself at that stage, don't you?
I'd say so.
I'm driving around the New South Wales town of Wagga Wagga with a young man who wants to remain anonymous.
I don't remember much of the last 4 or 5 years.
So you basically lost a quarter of your life.
Yeah.
He's an ice addict, and to support his habit, can sell up to $10,000 a week of the drug.
So if you wanted to, how quickly could you get a hit of ice on these streets?
Easy as.
Like if I set a stopwatch now, how long?
2 minutes.
So it's that easy?
Yeah.
So many people talk about that feeling when you have your first time on ice. What's it like?
It's just undescribable. It's just all your worries just go away. Just feel just full of energy, full of life, happiness.
When you take ice now, is it still enjoyable?
No. As soon as I have it, I've regretted having it. I notice the change it has on me. Like, can't talk to people.
What is the change? What's going through your head?
I don't know, just who I am. I'm just turned into just an arsehole. Just an angry person when I'm on it.
Do you regret ever being introduced to ice in the first place?
I wish I never touched it. My life would be a lot different right now.
What do you reckon you'd be doing?
I don't know. Might still be with me missus. I might have a job. I've lost a lot. Yeah. Me cars, me house, everything I own. Gone several times.
What would the average age of an ice offender be that comes before you?
Honestly, I don't think there's such a thing. You know, I see people that are, up around their 60s. It's shocking. A person the other day, a farmer, and he's 3 children, and he's probably in his 50s, and you would be the last person you would think would be dabbling in that kind of a thing.
Erin Kennedy is a magistrate in Wagga Wagga, where of the 5,000 matters before the local court last year, more than 2,000 were ice-related.
It's a drug that doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are or what background you came from. The addiction seems to be so incredibly strong that it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, if you're prepared to lose your liberty for the drug, you know what's coming. You know if I, steal one more thing, or if I break into any home, or I will go to prison, or I will lose my children if I do not stop this, and they're unable to do that.
I'm sure there'd be plenty of mums and dads that'd watch this and say,
it's not my problem. You know, we're a good family. My kids wouldn't do that.
No. And I think that's the message, absolutely, to get across today. Be conscious of who your children are mixing with. And if there's any sign of it, step in. And in my view, the moment your friend offers you this substance, they're no longer your friend. That's not a definition of friend.
Karen Butts was planning on talking to me with her ice addict son by her side. But Kurt was arrested last week and the 22-year-old is now back in prison.
Helplessness is probably the worst thing, I think. And it's, for me, it's, you know, you always want to protect your children and help your children. That's, you know, your maternal instinct. And when it comes to drug use, you have no control.
How close has Kurt's drug use come to killing him already?
He's tried to hang himself. So it doesn't get any closer than that. He's definitely a playful little chap, always into mischief.
Like so many mothers around the country, Karen wonders how it came to this.
How happy would you be to see him get clean?
That would be like a million Christmases in one. That, you know, to have my son back without, you know, the chaos that, you know, his mind and his body must go through every day because of his ice use. That would make me so happy. That would be awesome. Yeah.
Do you think that'll happen?
I don't know. I have no idea. It's totally up to my son.
In the Australian Federal Police Forensic Drug Lab,
so it's come up with a result of 0.99 methamphetamine hydrochloride.
the ice halls they are testing are becoming larger and stronger.
So we are targeting meth significantly, as we all are across the globe, because it's having the biggest impact. It is actually starting to really crucify and really harm generations of Australians. And it's not just Australians, it's a worldwide problem that we're actually trying to get on top of. So yes, we are focused on meth.
And so are Mexico's authorities. You're looking at victims killed in this brutal drug war. Only problem is, no one knows who they are, so investigators need to reconstruct their faces to help identify them. Down the corridor, graphics experts are recreating some of the drug cartel's gruesome murders. Meanwhile, special forces train for their next raid.
How much do you think Australian crime gangs are contributing to the larger crime problem here in Mexico?
I think the Australian market and the groups that are involved in the drug trade to Australia are responsible for a lot of the violence here in Mexico. Some of the cartels that we're dealing with are ultra-violent, and a lot of police unfortunately are killed each year, so that trade is fueling that violence here in Mexico.
Some people might look at this situation and say, what are the Australian Federal Police doing in Mexico? That's Mexico's problem, let them sort it out, but you disagree?
I think we're talking about the same problem. You know, the problem that we see in Australia with the methamphetamine, the terrible scourge it has, is the same problem here, supply and demand. So these cartels are making their money, and we need to do whatever we can to stop this vile trade.
More than 1 million Australians use cocaine every year. The white powder costs more than gold, but it's a price consumers here are happy to pay. Happier still are the bosses of the drug cartels who are reaping enormous profits. Their riches are growing, despite state and federal law enforcement agencies doing all they can to stop the drugs getting into the country. How the officers go about their work is mostly done in secret. But not always. Tonight, we're taking you inside their battle to outwit the criminals responsible for smuggling massive amounts of illegal narcotics. Sydney's bustling Port Botany is one of the largest container facilities in the country. Ships stream in and out of here 24 hours a day. Today, there's a VIP on the water, the Commissioner of Australian Border Force.
In recent times, we've had hundreds of kilos of narcotics found.
Michael Outram's come here on a mission to send a message to his greatest enemies, the bosses of the drug cartels.
So, Commissioner, we're looking at a pretty big ship with literally thousands of containers on it, but what we can see is only half the problem.
Indeed, yeah, the containers are a big problem, but what really worries us today as well is what's under the waterline there.
The Commissioner wants to be clear. He and his officers are well aware of the latest devious way drugs are being trafficked into Australia.
There are lots of cavities in these ships. They're called sea chests and other things, and that's where we're seeing increasingly large quantities of drugs being hidden.
It's called parasite smuggling, concealing tons of cocaine and other illegal substances in underwater compartments on the hulls of ships.
We can search in a container quite easily. We've been geared up to do that for years. We haven't been geared up to go under the waterline and examine the bottom of a ship, and it's huge. So we need to be able to do it in a very expedient way.
The rise of parasite smuggling has meant law enforcement has been playing a kind of catch-up to drug importers, but not anymore. And Michael Outram wants to show off the reason why. The latest weapon in Border Force's armoury, a fleet of underwater drones.
So how long has that drone been in operation for?
Just under 12 months.
And how many discoveries has it made in that time?
We won't go into exactly how many, but in very recent times it's made a major discovery of more than 100 kilos of narcotics under the waterline on a vessel.
That's significant.
It's huge.
So it's already worth its weight in gold.
Absolutely. You took the words out of my mouth, and of course we have many ports around our 33,000 kilometres of coastline. And so we've got to work out how to get more of this sort of technology into more of our ports, because this is a method that criminals are using to bring a lot of narcotics into our country.
There's an obvious element of nefarious ingenuity, but parasite smuggling can also be a dangerous game. In May last year, a grim discovery at the port of Newcastle, when the body of 31-year-old Brazilian diver Bruno Borges was found floating in the water. Alongside him was 50 kilos of cocaine, worth $20 million.
A failed drug drop has left a scuba diver dead and uncovered a mammoth cocaine haul.
Borges had been trying to recover the drugs, which were hidden under a ship when he drowned.
You've been doing this for a long time.
I have, yeah, straight out of school. Actually joined the Navy as a clearance diver.
Yeah.
Did that for about 8 years, and then been a commercial diver for the last 5 years.
Professional diver Jared Darcy says the area where Bruno Borges was diving under the ship was particularly dangerous.
On the sea chest, you can get sucked against the sea chest, you can get blown off it.
Wow.
And when you're pinned against the sea chest, the force, there's no way to get off and you will drown.
And that's it, game over.
That's it.
To make the already complicated dive even more perilous, Borges was using a detection-avoiding rebreather, which stops air bubbles being emitted. Jared believes the device is a likely contributing factor to his death.
So a rebreather is a very technical piece of equipment. Depending on the type of rebreather he was using, if he was using a 100% oxygen rebreather, that does have a depth limitation of about 10 metres. So if he was diving to collect a large quantity of drugs, that would make him a lot heavier in the water, and he could have easily surpassed the 10-metre mark, which then the dive will go into a blackout. And once you black out underwater, the chance of drowning is quite high.
These are the risks people are willing to take.
Yeah, absolutely. The drug trade, people die. And they've got an immense budget. So whether it's buying, diving equipment with rebreathers, flying divers around the world to go and do certain jobs, employing, technologies now to detect our surveillance, encryption of communications, incredible sophistication. You know, we're really in a sort of an arms race here, and it's constant, and we have to keep up with them.
Yes. It's impossible to inspect them.
Like Michael Outram, Nanette van Shelven is in a battle with parasite smugglers. She's the Director General of Customs in the Netherlands and has been visiting Australia to share intelligence information with Border Force.
So, Nanette, how does the port here compare to what you're used to in Rotterdam? I imagine it's much busier where you are.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The port of Rotterdam is huge.
Nanette's beat includes Europe's largest seaport, Rotterdam, as well as handling 500 million tonnes of legal freight. It's estimated a staggering 50,000 kilograms of cocaine is smuggled through the port every year.
The Netherlands has been dubbed the cocaine hub of Europe.
Yeah.
That's not exactly a title that law enforcement would want.
Nope.
How does that sit with you?
Well, of course, it saddens me. It's not only that we face all those tons of cocaine coming into our harbour, but it's the crime that also comes with that.
The amounts are enormous, but surprisingly, Nanette is confident Dutch Customs is winning the battle to stop the drugs. Through an increase in surveillance, including the use of specialised dive teams targeting parasite smugglers, her officers are seizing more cocaine than ever. A recent study revealed the dent they're putting in the drug cartels' operations.
We always thought it would be about 10 or 20% that we stopped and the rest went through. These scientific reports said, no, you are between 50 and 60 to 65% that's being stopped in the harbour of Rotterdam.
The Dutch success is something Australian Border Force Commissioner Michael Outram is determined to emulate. But he knows he faces a tough task.
We're currently only getting about 20 to 25% of the narcotics getting into our country.
So some 80% of drugs are still making their way through to the streets of this country.
Roughly.
Slumped in the seat of his luxury car, executed in an ambush.
The cartels might be losing up to a quarter of their product to police operations, but it's a sacrifice they're willing to make. Australia's obsession with cocaine and other illicit drugs guarantees it's still a lucrative trade. It also means there's little likelihood of a truce in Sydney's deadly gang wars.
It's the heartache that is left behind that they don't think about. You know, a lot of these funerals that we've done, every time I'm at the cemetery, I always see the mother there, you know.
Ahmed Hegarty is an undertaker at the Lakemba Mosque in Western Sydney. It's sometimes confronting, but he often shares the despair of his job on social media, especially when it's a needless death of a young person.
Just take one thing out of this, my brothers. Remember that today you are alive and tomorrow you might be in the back coffin here, being taken to the cemetery.
In July, the killing of 25-year-old Ahmed Al-Azam was particularly devastating for him.
His father came into the washroom and his brother, his only brother. And the father helped wash his son. Think for a second, this is the kid you raised all your life to be a young man. Now you're washing him, he's lifeless. You're bathing him like a baby again, but he's not coming back. He's not a baby, he's dead.
Ahmed Al-Azam was shot multiple times as he sat in a car in a suburban street. His family maintain he was an innocent victim of Sydney's drug wars. Ahmed Hegarty says their pain is intense.
A lot of collateral damage. His dreams will never be reached. He'll never be married. He'll never have offsprings. He'll never be a grandfather. His father will never be a grandfather to his son's kids.
The investigation into the murder of Ahmed Al-Azam is ongoing, just like the cycle of violence he became a victim of.
You know, the people who are actually behind these drug trades are ruthless, violent criminals, and they're running really evil sort of empires, and people are really suffering, and some people are dying as a result of it.
And that's not the only challenge Michael Outram faces. He concedes drug cartels have now compromised every part of the supply chain, from the shipping companies to the port authorities. How widespread is the infiltration, is the corruption within Australia?
Within Australia, it's significant. It's a big problem. Now, I would say to you that the vast majority of people I deal with in industry, they're doing the right thing. But we've identified in the last 2 years, looking into this problem, about 100 organisations and 1,000 people that operate at the border that really worry us.
Really?
And that's what we can see. So
I mean, that's very disconcerting.
it is disconcerting.
But it gets worse. The Commissioner's most alarming admission is that he has concerns about some of his own officers.
There's no organisation that can lay claim to being corruption-free or corruption-proof, because organised crime need our information. They want our information. They want to know where we are, when we're going to be there, what we're not looking at, what we are looking at. It's gold for them, and we realise the value of that.
It is an uncomfortable truth to learn as a member of the public to hear that from you, Commissioner, that there's likely corruption within your ranks.
99% plus of the workforce are absolutely committed to the mission. I've got 5,700 officers. If just one of those officers, just one, is in the pocket of organised crime and they're in a job where they can access certain sensitive information, that's a big problem for us.
But ultimately, Michael Outram is an optimist. He's sure the war on drugs will eventually be won by the good guys. Ahmed Hegarty hopes the Commissioner is right. Over the past 20 years, he's buried too many victims. His simple wish is for the violence to stop. What impact is the current crime wave having on the community?
Honestly, people are moving out. People are selling their houses in these areas and moving out
Why?
because they can't handle it anymore. The devastation, the aftermath, the collateral damage, all left behind, nobody sees that. The story's on the media once, twice, and that's it. No one sees what is left that the family has to pick up the pieces and deal with. We have our wives and our sisters and our siblings all walking in the street. We don't want a stray bullet to hit one of them. And we've seen, we've heard on the news some of these bullets have gone into childcare centres and stuff like that. Wow, imagine it hit a child, an innocent child.